Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new episode of the X Bottom, Season 5, Episode 35. I'm your host, Alejandro, with me, with my co pilot.
Hello, Rick. How's it going?
Doing good, Rick. We just had a wonderful pre show, let's just say, that people are not going to listen, just like they're not going to listen to the episode that we lost because we love talking to each other. But how you doing today?
I'm okay. It's been a very long week, almost over, thankfully. And you?
Yeah, same. It's like it's been a long week of me streaming almost every day this week because of a game that came out. So I spent until like 1:30 a.m. Playing and finishing the game that I'm gonna talk about that I was streaming because I was like, this seems like an end. Might as well keep pushing. I was like, this is still going, but this feels like an end. And then suddenly, yep, I finished it. So I still debating if I'm gonna stream today or not, especially because we're recording this right now. But yeah, good to have you here again. Like Paul takes the week off, I still get you, and then we get Paul again next week. But enough with the pre.
I need a week off, so I'm glad he's back next week.
Yes.
This is something like my fourth straight week.
Oh yes, literally. So, and one of them was like a wasted week, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'll say one of them nobody knows about, but
yeah. So and perfect timing of me receiving a phone call. But enough of that, because this is the X Bottom Podcast, Escape Gaming podcast that posts every Fridays from 10 a.m. onwards, God willing. Available on the YouTube channel Escape Gaming, as well as most audio services around the world. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and the like. You can find links in the RSS feed at tinyurl.com/escapegaming. If you enjoy our show, give us a like and subscribe. So, Rick, I want to start with you because you still have the same games that you listed last time you were here. Anything you want to like update on any of those three games?
not a whole lot really. I'm still playing them, but not really anything to discuss. See, I guess I'm going to talk about something, and I'll just mention it very briefly. The release of a certain game this week, which you'll go into greater detail on, made me realize that actually I never did finish the remake of 2. Now I finished 2 back on PS2. So I did finish the game. I know the story. I know the twist, all that stuff. But it really occurred to me I never actually did finish the remake.
Me neither.
So you know what? I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm gonna do that before I play F. And so I'm kind of chugging through that. I assume pretty.
Yeah. What's the last thing? What's the last thing you did in Silent Hill 2? Because I also haven't finished, but I have an idea where.
Before I turned it off, I got to the what the hell is it called? The Lakeview Hotel or whatever, which is the end of the game. Like it's the last maybe 20% of the game.
Okay, so then you were way past the hospital because I was stuck in
the hospital. The hospital's maybe, I don't even know if it's halfway through the game.
It is.
The remake is pretty long. I mean that can't be stressed enough. I just yesterday finished the Labyrinth, and I even asked Clint, I was like, was the Labyrinth even in the original game? He said it was, but they made it way longer in the remake.
That's my problem with Silent Hill 2 remake, that I feel, because I remember beating the original 2, and I don't remember it taking this long to go through like all these places.
It was like 8 hours maybe. If even that.
Yeah, and the new one that I'm gonna talk about, like I beat a 9. So it's like that's more like what I expect out of a survival horror game that has multiple endings. And it's meant to be like replayed because New Game Plus is supposed to unlock other stuff. And Silent Hill 2 is the game that I was playing with my cousin when I met her for the first time this summer. I was like, I kind of made that our game, and even us we were starting losing steam being at that hospital that was so twisty and turny. I was like, go to the 3rd floor again. Now you have to go to the 1st floor, then 3rd floor again. Okay, do you find something here? Oh crap, you have to like mix these things and all that. So it's like
that said, that is not new to the remake, because that does happen in the original game. You are, it's just with the various different ways that the doors are locked and stuff like that. It's just all the different ways.
But because it's tighter, I feel like you don't feel the strain of how often you're constantly backtracking and going from place to place, because that game goes by quicker. This game, it feels like the remake is like 6 or 7 hours longer than what I saw.
Probably about right. Yeah, that's probably right. Now that said, certain areas I don't mind that they're longer. I mean, the first like main area is the apartments, the Creekside apartments, whatever they're called.
Yeah,
that is way longer than it was in the original game, because it was just kind of a blink and you missed it in the first one or the original one. But I don't mind that, because I actually and same with the hospital. Like I thought those were a couple areas that are meant to be kind of emphasized as locations. The Labyrinth, however, I probably could have done without it being so long, because it's kind of not, it's not like it's a unique location. It kind of uses screwed up looks of previous locations like that, and I didn't quite get that, even though cool stuff does happen in the Labyrinth. I mean, if you know the story, you kind of know certain things that happen in it. the first thing you play through is like, this doesn't make any sense. And then when you kind of understand what's happening is when it does make sense. But I will say though, this is gonna kind of date me a little bit, I guess. But so where I am, I have finished the boss fight that you deal with for Angela, the one character that you encounter early in the game.
Yeah.
Okay, spoiler here for Silent Hill 2. So I'll give you a couple seconds if you don't want to listen. Okay, so I remember the general point of what the monsters appear like to her, right? I guess probably in my youth and naivety, did not realize that the game hints that she was, shall we say, taken advantage of by her father. I did not remember knowing that. And actually, I asked my friend. He goes, "I don't think I realized it either." But I don't know if it's that the remake makes it a little more obvious, or more likely we're a little more understanding of that being an issue. Whereas maybe when we were 18, it kind of seemed like something didn't really happen.
And also the visuals were probably like also more like not as detailed for that to really
I don't actually think it was that. Like I looked into the boss you fight is called the Abstract Daddy, which I'm not making that up. That is the name. And it is meant to appear like somebody being forced upon. However, it is hard to see it because of the way that it moves. Like you have to almost look at like a still screenshot of it to see that. No, it is more something that she says, and maybe it's a direct line from the original game. I don't know. But she says to James something like, "I know what you want. Everybody just wants that. You're just like him." And I was like, "Wait a minute, wait just a second." And I looked it up. I was like, "Is this new?" But no, they said it very clearly. Like I guess there was a large part of the fandom tried to deny that that's what actually happened. But I guess that Masahiro Ito or something like that, the director, basically said like, "Oh no, that was very much the intent."
Yeah, literally. And they had said that they wanted to make a. He said, because I think he was involved with this remake too, and he said
I believe so. Yeah.
He said that he wanted things that were more to the imagination to become more explicit in this remake. So.
Yeah, and actually, I read this today when I was looking into this. He said in his mind, if you will, what Angela saw for the Abstract Daddy was actually far more like awful than how James saw it, because James is seeing what it is, but you're seeing the abstract version of her thoughts, but also with kind of his own psychoses put onto it. And he said that he thought that, like, they went back and forth if they wanted to show what it would look like to Angela, but he said he thought it made her a more interesting character for you to not see that and have to think to yourself how screwed up that actually would have looked for somebody who had this happen to them. But I more wanted to mention that because while I have not obviously played nearly as much of F as you have since you finished it, I do know before F came out that they said it has some pretty dark themes. And I just want to say, this is what I actually respect the hell out of Silent Hill. Is it's not that I have an issue with them, but it's not just your typical schlocky horror, which I like those too, right? But it's not just violence and gore. Like, it is genuinely like, I mean, we all swear, but I'm going to swear here. It is genuinely really fucked up psychological shit. And that's what really makes Silent Hill special to me, is because you don't get, like, they go to some pretty dark places. I mean, the whole story twist of Silent Hill 2, it's hard to believe it came out in
2001.
2001, okay. Because that is, like, by today's standards, that is really fucked up, the twist about that.
100%. And I would say eventually, like, Silent Hill F gets to those heights. Like,
I figured. I mean, they kept saying like there is, and the fact that you're a Japanese schoolgirl in the '60s, most certainly, I'm sure. I can guess where it goes.
Yeah, it's very odd, and even from like moment one, like how that story starts with the
friend Sakuga or whatever her name is.
Yeah, not like when she's like talking with their dad and she just walks out of the house.
Oh yeah.
You can kind of get an idea of like, oh, so we're starting here with this, and eventually it's like It really continues the Silent Hill like series of like taking like real world like problems and issues, like mental issues and all that, and making the horror kind of like a living manifestation of those real world issues.
And I like that. I really think that is what sets Silent Hill apart. I mean, even where I am, I just finished without saying it, I finished the boss that is a person. If you know who I'm talking about, right?
At a bridge, right?
What's that?
At a bridge?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
So
in like a meat locker.
Okay, yeah, I remember now.
I was like, I don't know what you're talking about on the bridge.
Yeah.
And like that person is like bullied mercilessly, which is the point of what happens.
Hmm.
And then obviously the whole thing with James, it's like
Oh,
it.
sorry. Because I thought you said the boss from F. Like I
No,
got.
no, 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 no. I'm talking about two. I'm talking about two.
Okay, yeah, okay.
That's why I was like, I don't know what bridge you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, like the whole point of that thing is that character is bullied mercilessly to the point that he snaps.
Hmm.
Now, that obviously has a bit of a different connotation now with current world events, but 2001, I mean, you weren't too far removed from a certain high school event in the United States, so
Yeah.
it's like they really did not, and I respect the hell out of the fact that Konami did not shy away from very serious subject material, and I like that.
And they get it, like they got into the mental stuff there with Silent Hill, and then with Metal Gear, they got into like the politics of things that have aged so spectacularly well over time. That's kind of been like the one, like the beauty. And I'm glad that Silent Hill has kept, at least this is the tone that they go for, because otherwise you don't want another clone of Resident Evil. That's what separated both of these series apart. The other one is the campy horror.
Right, like and it's good campy horror. It does it well, but this is the very strong Japanese style, like needle in your brain style of horror that sticks with you. Like it makes you think, and I like that.
Yeah, and I'm glad the series is back, because the series just felt like it was.
I'm glad Konami in general is back, because the industry is better with Konami making games in it.
I mean, just as like in the span of a year, they got that Silent. Yeah, they got 3 games. And they're all like high
and all very good, yes.
Yeah, like the Silent Hill 2 remake, even with some issues, it's still considered a great game. Metal Gear Delta, a great remake, despite some of the technical issues. And I would even say like Silent Hill F, it's very good for me. Like I see where the great reviews kind of come from. Yeah. And it's like someone said, I think I saw a screenshot of someone be like, this feels like 2017 Capcom. Kind of like when they finally started coming back.
Which one is 2017 specifically?
Resident Evil 7.
Okay, yeah. Basically the return of Capcom.
That within that year period, it was like they got RE7, they got
RE2 remake was not long after, but that might have been a couple years.
2 years. 2 years
after.
2
years, okay.
Monster Hunter World was close, so it's like Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite was like the only miss in that kind of like period. But it's like, but then when you kind of see that their entire kind of like spread of releases that then eventually like dovetailed into RE2 and DMC5, which was like, that was the moment where it was like 2017.
They're back, yeah, Capcom is back,
to be like they're the top of the heap, and the DMC5 and RE2 were considered like some of like the absolute very best games available around that time. So it's like that's when people were like, no, Capcom is back, and I feel like now Konami's finally getting there, and I'm so happy because like I didn't like what Konami turned into, but I hate that such great IPs under them.
Well, and even, I mean, again, obviously we can't, take away what they pulled. It wasn't cool. Although I will say, even as a Kojima fanboy, I don't fully believe that Kojima himself was not somewhat to blame for this too. Like I'm sure that this was not 100% Konami. But anyway, but the reality is the gaming industry is just better with Konami making games in it. They just simply are.
Yeah, and thankfully, and the thing is that they've been smart too, because they were so out of the game for so long. They were not making this internally. They're like, they have an internal team that works in tandem with partners. Obviously,
and that has worked very well. Yeah, it's like if you remember when that was announced for Silent Hill 2 specifically, not just because it was Bloober, but just in general, everyone's like, why would they outsource this? And it's like, okay, they actually did know what they were doing. Okay.
Yeah, and I think it helped that. Yes, they outsourced the work to Bloober, but Bloober wasn't the one that had the full, complete creative control of this.
Right.
A lot of the brunt work, but it's like
they still had like a homegrown like Silent Hill team to oversee everything across all these games. And
if you remember, like when people were asking, why are you not? They asked Bloober, why are you not saying anything about when this game is coming? Because it was when that game kept showing up at State of Plays with a release.
And they were usually bad showings and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was like, we're at the mercy when Konami tells us. That's why like that game had a lot of bad vibes heading into like the release until they did the 30-minute.
The Silent Hill. Well, I will say, and if you go back, I have evidence of this. Clint and I on the State of Play, which was like 2 days before that Silent Hill transmission, we had both said, I know we're probably setting ourselves up for disappointment, but that actually looked better than I expected it to.
It did.
And then the transmission came by, and it was like, okay, that looks a lot better than I was expecting it to. And I was like, okay, I actually have confidence this will be good. And then the reviews came out, and I'm like, I did not see this coming. I'll say that.
Yeah, I literally, we mentioned this guy Sebastian in our show, like because I have a separate chat with him. We made bets of like, what is this gonna score? I was like, I feel this is gonna be a 72. That's what I said.
That's exactly where I thought it was coming in, right around the low 7s. And I was like, wow, it's getting 9s all over the place. What the hell?
Yeah, it landed with like 86 or an 87 Metacritic. I was like, what?
That was mostly because you had a couple people who just simply didn't like the game, which is fair, right? I'm not criticizing. I didn't see the reviews, so maybe they're not valid reviews, but it's fair to say you didn't like it. But it's like, man, I did not expect that at all.
Yeah, that was like a shock, and now with Chronos is like, it's finally like now is because I don't know if you remember after Silent Hill 2 and they had announced Chronos, there was an actual news headline. It was like, okay, with Chronos, this is our moment where we're gonna stop making.
We're done making shitty games. Yes, and at the time I was like, look, Chronos does look good.
Yes, but it's too early.
One game does not make me believe this.
Yes.
And as I've said the last 2 episodes, I think actually 3 probably, but one of them was lost. Yeah. I was like, you know what? All right, with Chronos now, where they were not under the guidelines of somebody else, they made their own game here, and they freaking knocked it out of the park. I was like, I now fully believe in Bloober. I think they figured something out, which is what they were missing before, and I think they'll be a good studio now.
Yes, and now they're, and I'm glad because I'm like, I love survival horror so much because it's like, we don't get the narrative over the shoulder third-person game that often anymore. We get them in survival horror, so that's kind of like where I found my. Like, if I need to, like, satiate that hunger because a certain publisher that gave us a state of play this week now takes forever to deliver that kind of game. It's like, in survival horror, we get them. So the more we get, like, this guy's doing that kind of game, it's like, the more we're going to get fed. And I'm glad that now Bloober Team is out of that shitty period because, like, they're delivering good stuff.
If we have another... I mean, just to throw a word out there, but if we have another powerhouse survival horror team, that's 3 now. We've got 3 big names in it. And you know what? That's enough. We don't need more than that. I mean, if we get more, great. I'm just saying, like, that is enough to carry the genre and keep it alive and go, okay, survival horror is finally back. And all 3 of them, Chronos, Silent Hill, and Resident Evil, are also different enough. They're not stepping on each other's toes.
Exactly. They're the vibes couldn't be any more different.
Yes.
And that's what I love about it. And which dovetails into Silent Hill F for me. So obviously you played a little bit. You saw me stream a few hours after where you had stopped.
I still did not get to where that stream started. I still am not to that point.
Yeah, so you were still like early on. So
I am just so you know where I am. I am back in the real world after the first visit to Toryland, whatever it's called.
Foxyland. I call it Foxyland. Yeah, the guy with the
fox mask,
with the fox mask and all that. And I would say the section where you have to like figure out a puzzle. Like
I like that puzzle. I thought that was a good puzzle.
It was tense because it was like that. You had that monster.
I think for me, unfortunately, I think the AI broke a little bit because it kept wandering around the outside. Like I was in the first area where you see all the boards with the thingies. It never walked into there. It kept walking around the outside. So now when I went to the other areas, there it was kind of coming around me.
Yeah.
But I was able to just walk back and forth there and not have.
But I would say that they really delivered on is the music kind of like ratcheting up if he was getting close was so like because I was like, crap.
It's like a screeching sound. Yeah.
Exactly. So it was like I'm getting unnerved, and I captured that on stream, and I got to figure out that puzzle, which was like that tortoise, like the snake, and something else that and
wait,
I was like,
it must be different in playthroughs then.
Yes,
mine was a lightning bolt, a tree, and a plant.
Yeah, wait, you're playing hard puzzle, right? In the, like
I think so. It was what was defaulted to. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because it defaulted to story. Like
story and hard, I think,
hard and puzzles. I just put it in story because I was like,
oh, okay, maybe that is why, because it'd be a lot easier to find a turtle than it was to find a lightning bolt.
Yeah. Even then it was hard because it was like the turtle was like stuck all the way to like the other corner. But I would say definitely the positives that I have to give to Silent Hill F is that very technically sound. Like it's very. I love the use of red in this game. There's just something. It's like it's a very visually striking game.
It's very contrasting to everything else because everything else is intentionally kind of bleak and like drained of color. whereas the reds are very bright and very in your face. Yes.
Yeah, so I feel like it has a very strong visual identity to like its sense of place of the 1960s kind of like town area. Like I really love the vibe of that town. Like I really, especially
yes,
when
it's gorgeous. The town looks amazing. It actually, I didn't think of this until Hogue mentioned it on Season Gaming Big Cast this week. It reminded me a lot of Siren.
Yeah.
Like when he said that, I'm like, that's a good pull because I don't think of, I love Siren, but I didn't think of it a lot. And I was like, this feels like Siren. It really does.
Yeah, that's why it kind of clicked for me because it was like Siren's been gone for so long. Beside the 5-episode game that they put out on PS3 back in the day.
I love that one. I love the PS3 one.
Yeah, it was so unique because it was like that's the guy that then eventually went to make Gravity Rush and then went to do Slitherhead afterwards. It's like
I didn't know that's who it was.
Yeah, so it's like that's a horror series that I understand why Sony hasn't done anything with because it's like that's for them.
Siren is cool, man. I liked Siren.
Yeah, it and Silent Hill, I feel like from the horror series that is like maybe they're not stepping on each other's toes. I feel like Silent Hill and Siren feel like the closest in vibe that could be like
or actually I'll tell you what will step on the toes a little bit, and it is coming back, is Fatal Frame.
Yes.
Fatal Frame and Silent Hill will very much butt heads a lot.
Yeah, especially with the female character too.
Yes. Well, and Fatal Frame 2 in particular will butt heads with Silent Hill F.
Yes, and that one's coming soon too. But just like in a visual presentation sense, I feel like it's like it looks so different from what you're used to Silent Hill because you're used to American cities and all of that. But I feel the vibe is so unmistakable. It's like it's so strong. It kind of delivers on dread. This game doesn't have many jump scares. Eventually, there's a section late in the game that did start scaring me because you're going into a PT like constantly rotating room that every time they go in it changes and something
that sounds like Silent Hill. All right, that's the kind of thing that series does.
Exactly. So it's like it's a game that at least nails the mindfuck, I would say. Like sometimes I'm staring, I was like, was that mannequin there? Like those like scarecrow like mannequin. And it was funny because my sister was like watching me play the stream, and even I was seeing her like in her chat, she was like, where did that come from? It was like, is this a horror game? Or is this demons? Or is this like monsters?
What is it about random mannequins that move when you're not looking? They ingrain themselves into your psyche and haunt you.
Do you ever play Shadows of Rose, the Village DLC?
I know what game it is. Oh, that's not what I thought you were talking about. Yes, I did play that actually.
Yeah, so it was like when you go through the redux of House Beneviento, but instead of the baby fetus, it's actually I found it even scarier.
It was a better version of House Beneviento.
Yes, and
it was the only part of that was better than Resident Evil 8 proper. But
because I know you and I don't agree with it, because I found it like when I found out that it was like that baby stuff, I was like legit terrified. It's not as terrifying after the
it didn't do it for me at all. But
but the mannequins have found it even more terrifying because it's like because you're like already in this place that already has like the aura of like that there was like a giant monster here, but that monster's not here anymore. But it's these mannequins that are literally walking like at all times.
They walk around and use like almost like a Metal Gear thing, right? Okay, I was trying to remember what I was thinking of. Yeah, that is what I was thinking.
If you're staring at them, they don't move. So you kind of always
that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Because if you give them like in the back, you start hearing, and if you're playing
that because they make like a clicking sound when they move. Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, it's so terrifying, like so terrifying.
It is unnerving. I'll agree with that. It is unnerving.
Yeah, and I would say that unnerving is definitely the tone that Silent Hill F absolutely nails. I feel that monster design, despite the fact that some of them are like mannequin-y, like because there's like they're basically mannequins, like that with like knives and all that. At first, I didn't find them as scary because it was like, oh yeah, it's mannequins. So
the way they move is what kind of is a little again unsettling because they move in like this really twitchy fashion.
Yes, and they only got really scary when I got to that sort of PT like section because it's like because out in the open you can kind of like slowly see them fade, and it's like, okay, I see it. I see them. Okay, should I fight them? Should I like evade them? But inside like an enclosed space, definitely I was like, ooh, okay, this I've got a few times. You can see it in my stream.
I do. So you mentioned about them being able to avoid them in the open world. I do like though that when they see you, they kind of do the stop with the real like head turn, and it's like, and they look at you for a second, and then they start shambling towards you, and it's like, that's not right. That's not right at all.
Oh yes, and then you start getting into like even more grotesque kind of monsters, and I would say like it's definitely an unnerving game, and I feel it nails everything from a presentation standpoint. Even I would say the voice acting. Obviously, you're playing in Japanese. I'm playing it in English.
Yeah, I think the Japanese voice acting is amazing. I think.
Yeah, that's what I keep hearing. And initially, I had trepidation because there's a lot about the early game that it's a lot of high school drama, like what's happening. So I was like, that I found unintentionally hilarious. I was like, all of this is happening, but there's a love triangle between like these three characters. What the frick is happening? So, but eventually, I feel like once you get into like the second half and it starts like playing its hands, like in classic Silent Hill fashion, revealing like what the point is. It's like, oh, I see now, and that's why. Like I texted it.
I mean, I couldn't quite understand, but I took it to say it was messing with you a little bit.
Yeah, I was like, this is getting like really messed up now. Like it's kind of getting really messed up. And there's a gameplay addition that happens halfway through when you're like in the other side and kind of like the alternative.
Where you get the naganatas and all that stuff? Is that?
Yes, it's in that area. So that's beyond getting that. It's like
but it's not okay. That's what I didn't know if it was getting that weapon. Okay.
Yeah, so it's like that's just the first half. In the second half of the game, when you're like in that side of the world, the gameplay completely changes with what you're giving. And that's one of the parts that I was like, holy crap, they really did that to this character. I was like, holy.
They didn't show that then, I don't think, did they? Because I don't remember seeing any. Okay, yeah, I don't remember seeing any big change like that. So.
I went to read the reviews afterwards because I only took it's an 86, 87. So it reviewed great. Okay, cool. I'm diving in, and then I started reading the reviews. I'm like, cool. Some people actually save this twist of like what happens in that side of the. In that side of the game, because I feel it improves the combat, I would say, with what you can do, because that's probably my biggest sticking point with this game is that the combat is a little too stiff for my liking. That, to be fair, for a survival horror, I'm not supposed to be able to handle all of this.
Right.
It works. However, later in the game, you start getting into points where the game is asking you, kill everyone before you advance, and that's when I start not. And that's when I start not liking it, because I feel it's like you're already forcing something that I'm tolerating because it's aiding with the vibe, it's aiding with the and usually Silent Hill is not like it always had great combat either. It was like something that you just
2 Remake was the first one that had decent combat.
Exactly. So it's like I don't feel like great combat has never been like a hallmark, and I've always said that. I even said that when I reviewed back when I reviewed Alan Wake 2, it was like that game is such a mechanical step back from the first Alan Wake. But
I agree. Nobody else seems to think. Well, I mean, obviously you do, but I was like, I didn't like the way the combat felt. I loved the combat in Alan Wake 1. I did not like the combat in Alan Wake 2 at all.
But that's the thing. Alan Wake 1 was a more clear action horror game, whereas they said that Alan Wake 2 they wanted to make it more survival horror. So it's like,
sorry, go ahead.
So it was like, I feel they intentionally made the combat worse, clunkier, because it's like if you were as snappy in your combat as you were in the first game, I don't feel the survival horror element of that game, because they upped the horror in that game compared to like the first game would have been as enjoyable. It's just that then if you have the context of how that first game felt, it was very hard to wrap your head around the fact that the second game intentionally felt worse. And I feel that's kind of like the key to a survival horror game, that if you want to like feel like very unnerved that you're barely like scraping by, the combat has to be intentionally clunky. And I feel that's where Silent Hill F nails it, despite the fact that it's like because you're swinging it's like proto Souls like that. Once you're locked into an animation, you have to like wait for her to kind of like attack. Yes, there's like you're managing stamina, you're dodging and things like you can get like a perfect dodge that kind of like gives you a little boost for the stamina for you to kind of like continue, and then you start doing something called the focus that is tied to like the sanity meter. That is like if you're really focusing on an enemy to see when they're gonna do like a specific move for you to do a counterattack, you cannot abuse it, because if you like lose sanity, you're not as good with your movement. So it's kind of like reminds me of the stamina meter of Metal Gear, that if that stamina meter, if you haven't eaten for a while, it starts kind of like affecting your actual in-game performance. So you kind of have to keep it like keep it in check, and you can pop some pills to kind of like fix your sanity, which it's very interesting.
It hasn't said it, but I have to assume that she is supposed to be. It's hinting that she has an addiction issue. I have to assume that that's what that's hinting. Kind of how what is it? Max Payne. He that was why it was healing, and that I kind of right off the bat, the fact that immediately is it Shu? Is that his name?
Yeah, Shu.
Gives her a whole thing of I guess it's aspirin. I think.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah,
The Tylenol.
Yeah, she's clearly got some kind of addiction issue.
Yeah, so she's drinking the Tylenol and earning autism in the process.
Yeah.
But it's like it's like some of the things kind of make sense. Then if you start reading the subtext of why you're taking some of these things, and then you're finding some of the notes and things like that, everything starts like making sense.
Again,
like,
that is what makes Silent Hill so cool.
Yeah.
Everything is very subtle, but it's all there to tell you kind of what's going on. Like, actually, even back to Silent Hill 2, you know, I had to, my friend and I kind of had to talk back and forth to kind of make sense out of what it meant, because it doesn't tell you directly.
Yeah, it was more.
All the info is there, but you have to piece it together.
Yeah.
And when you do, and you play it again, is when you start to notice all the things. And clearly, I mean, I've not played enough of F, but it's clearly doing the same thing in this case.
Yes, it does, but then I feel a bit like it eventually just slaps you what it's about.
Oh, does it really?
Yeah, so it's like, it's more, I feel like they're trying to make it clear they're not leaving the allegories too allegorical. They're playing as you can like identify them. I saw Ho tweeted today that I think, or was it yesterday? I don't know, because he had said he was not gonna play it, and suddenly he's playing it. So I was like, okay.
Well, he had said the siren thing. He'd said he usually was not a big fan of things set in like rural Japanese towns.
So that's why he was not interested in play. But I think the great reviews probably pushed him to be like, oh, so it's actually good.
Is he liking it then, or what's he saying?
Yeah, the only thing I saw he say was the fact that, oh, when you reach the point where you kind of figure out what this is about, I was like, I think you probably got the idea now. And again, like, you can kind of, you're already like in the.
I mean, I'm not saying I'm spot on, but I have very little doubt that I'm on the right track.
Yeah, you're on the right track. There's more to it, but it eventually kind of like all pops up, and I feel like the way the thing ends, it's pretty unnerving, because it's like, yeah, I can kind of see this is how it looks.
I forget. Does this one have multiple endings, or does it not? Okay.
And the game literally,
that is the Silent Hill thing. I just didn't know if this one did too or not.
And as soon as you finish it, it unlocks something be like endings unlocked. And you see the list of how many there are.
Oh, okay.
And it even tells you like what you need to do to like unlock.
Oh, that's right. I do remember reading that you actually do have to finish this twice to get a real ending, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I do remember that now that you say
that. Because I finished it, and like my in-game clock said 9 hours. I feel that's let me see what the actual PS.
That's about what I had seen. I had seen somewhere between 9 and 11. Yeah. It was about average.
How long to beat said 12 to 14. Let me see how much it says in my clock. You know how the PS5 has the thing. I beat it in 12, so it didn't count when I was like paused and all that. So it's like, it's a 12-hour game, which to me, perfect. Because there were a few points that I was like fearing that it was getting into Silent Hill 2 syndrome of this puzzle
just dragging it out.
Are dragging out a little too much. There's like a little too many. Have to find 3 crests, and then having to figure out how to put this crest like for my liking, and it started to get really annoying in that PT room, because you have to find those crests in 3 separate dimensions of the same room, and having to kind of like figure out how to get. And eventually, you get into a room where you get no map at all. So I was like, "Fuck!" I'm like, am I like, I'm back in this room again? And in this room's like, you needed to kill the enemies for the room to unlock it. And I was like, why am I back here? Okay, I have to beat these Demogorgons that look like the Demogorgons from Stranger Things, like that big monster that was there.
I never watched Stranger Things, but I know the Demogorgon is a thing in that.
Yeah, so it's like it's so funny that it looks like a Demogorgon, and also some of the enemies from Hell Is Us.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like the one that has like the big chest and then the big hole in their face. Like,
the one. Yeah. No, he did look like what do they call this, Hollow Walker or whatever. I agree with that.
Yeah, so that's why I'm like, those were like my early parts that I was like, man, this is kind of like, and also the very late part where you have to like kill everything as you're kind of like pursuing something, that I was like, I have to kill this, because there's like this massive monster that I call the tit monster, because it feels like it has like 1,000 tits on her, that you'll know when you see it, that she spawns enemies all the time. So
I actually think I might know what you're talking about. I think I may have seen it in a review.
Yeah, so it's like it's a very disturbing, like nasty looking thing. It's like this game like will be like, a lot of the designs you're gonna be like, oh, this is not. There were parts where I was like looking, I was like, this is gross and nasty, which great. That's how Silent Hill should be.
Point, yeah, that's the point.
Yeah, but it's in those combat sections that I was like, game, why are you doing, or like, why are you doing this late in the game? Because this is gonna be the final taste that I'm gonna remember you for. I hate, like, I usually hate that, because it's like oh man, because I was loving this, and then you're doing this, but then the ending kind of like hit, and it's sort of inconclusive, but by design and makes sense with the whole. There's more endings that you can unlock, and I understand that if you play if you do another playthrough immediately, even as you're doing the same stuff, you're gonna start getting even more information now. So it's like it's already by design. I'm glad it is short, because a game that's longer than this, to be able to like repeat over and over and over to get different endings, I would have been more annoyed. Like, I'm more inspired to do it again because I was like, oh, I was able to finish it that quick. Yeah, cool, I'll do it again. Kind of like what I did with Metal Gear, that I finished it on the first day and then I went to extreme afterwards, like in my second stream.
I'm gonna disappoint you in something a little bit. Apparently, Chronos does that, where it is a game that you have to finish twice to get I guess Alan Wake 2 is probably a better comparison here, where you get the true second ending after New Game Plus. But Chronos is a good bit longer than that. Chronos is probably 17 to 18 hours, I would guess.
Yeah,
but maybe Resident Evil 4 length, somewhere around there. Yeah. But your second playthrough, you can probably go through a lot quicker.
Exactly. I would guess that usually because I remember when I did the Resident Evil 4 remake, which I thought was slightly longer than the original Resident Evil 4. But then when I did my second playthrough with like my New Game Plus weapons and knowing, I was like, oh, this is actually much quicker. And because I remember me and Paul kept like racing each other, be like, who can beat this like faster? Because now we have like all the weaponry and all of that. So maybe that's kind of like what helps. Maybe that's kind of what I'm seeing. That if it took me 9 hours not knowing with Silent Hill F, maybe it's gonna be
maybe 5. Yeah, maybe 5 on a second playthrough.
Yeah, because at least I know everything's kind of like still fresh, and I have my stream that I can kind of check as reference if I want to do that. But overall, I would say like I don't know what I would score it yet. I think low 8. I mean, a flat 8 would be like where I kind of go, because of the combat problems. Because like they just start getting a little too overbearing. But it's just let me put it like this: 10 out of 10 presentation, vibes, and all that. 6 out of 10 combat. That's probably why I'm like, yeah, it's probably an 8. Like when I average it out, kind of like when I put it like in my mind, because it's like if they didn't force me in those final sections, like, you gotta kill everything here, that just brings that to light. Nip that in the bud, I would feel even stronger. To me, it's still one of my favorite games that I played this year so far. It's still, I'm so happy to see Silent Hill back. I'm so happy to see Silent Hill like thriving again. I'm glad that it feels like a lot of my childhood, like even though this game is not a game that I should have been playing in my childhood, but I'm like, I'm glad that these old franchises that have existed since I've known games and I've known franchises and know what are like the classics. I'm glad all of these are kind of like in play again, and they're kind of like living some good life right now. I feel the exact same way how I feel about this after Metal Gear, that we got the news that Master Collection Volume 2 is coming soon. Is like, I'm glad to feel that it's like like these franchises are alive again in some way, and not just as kind of like throwaway stuff. They're doing like good stuff, and I'm glad that the Konami's bet of in-house and an in-house writer and developer kind of like working in tandem with like announcer team. It's working for them, for considering that there's no development acumen at Konami right now because of how they shifted everything after the last decade of pachinko machine hell. So,
right. Yeah, and actually all of this, especially now, even a year removed from Silent Hill 2, it has me even more excited now for the fact that Bloober are working on the remake of Silent Hill 1, which I actually am even more excited for that than 2. I know most people prefer 2. I always liked 1 and 3 the best, because
people say that.
Even though they don't have... No, most people do prefer 2 the most, but I particularly... 3 was always my favorite. But whereas Silent Hill 2 is all about the psychological thing, as I mentioned earlier, Silent Hill 1 and 3 are about
connected. Like... Yeah, more interconnected too.
Right. But specifically, they're about like fucking Satanism and shit like that. Like it's actually about like cults that worship like satanic demons and stuff like that. And like, again, it's just another thing. This is PS1, remember that. They did not shy away from the insane, like, this was, so PS1, this would have been PS2? 97.
Yeah.
No, Silent Hill 1, I mean. I'm trying to remember what year it came out. About 97, 98, somewhere around there. Like, this is when anything that had any kind of, like, non-Christian thing was usually, like, very much frowned upon. So it took balls.
99.
Okay. I was sure what grade I was in when it came out. Yeah, grade. That's right, grade. I was in school. I was in high school. Yeah. But like, that took balls to release a game like that actually unabashedly had to do with. I think Samael is the name of the demon in it, so it's like it's a prophet of Satan.
Yeah.
like that took guts to make a game about that. And they don't shy away from it. They don't shy away from the imagery. They don't shy away from certainly the gore and the grotesqueness of everything. I am really, really excited to see what they do with Silent Hill 1. I think that'll be amazing.
And I feel the fact that 1 and 3 are the ones that are like more interconnected that way, I feel like makes more sense why 2 would be the one that they went for. Because similar with 3, it's like, what is the unanimously considered the best one? Let's see if we can make good work with the one that's a safe bet. So now it's like they'll have to do even stronger work with the original to kind of like
and hopefully that leads into 3 being remade, because like I said, I love so. 3. Yeah. I love 3.
Yeah,
oh good.
Yeah, I would say Silent Hill 11 is the first time. Now I'm like, okay, because Metal Gear is murkier, because obviously that's such a Kojima. How can I say? It's like that series is so tied to like Kojima specifically, and he literally salted the earth with the end of 4. That it's like, I concluded this story. So it's like, I feel like he literally like was like, you can only do stuff like before that, but like that story ends in 4. So it's like Silent Hill, I feel there's more of a wide there's more of a wide canvas for them.
You can technically do an infinite amount of things since like the essential thing that Silent Hill 2 is about is about what is Silent Hill. 1 and 3 are stories set within Silent Hill. 2 is a story, but its main thing is what actually is Silent Hill, and why do these people see monsters but these people see something different, right? And like, so with that context, then, you know, even having played 3, then you understand why things look the way they did. Although you don't know it until the end when you discover who your character actually is. I don't know if you played 3 or not, but
I've never finished 3, but I did finish 2. So
do you know the twist if you want to call it, of 3?
Yeah. 3
okay, I won't say it. Well, you know it's tied in, but until you know how it's tied in, it's like, oh, that's interesting. Because it is a direct sequel to Silent Hill 1. But anyway, so Silent Hill 2 obviously explains kind of why Silent Hill works the way it does. So with that being done like that, you technically can make an infinite number of Silent Hills. They don't have to deal with Harry, Heather, James, whatever. But you can put any number of games within that setting.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like again, they have a wider canvas to keep doing this series, and I feel Silent Hill F is their first attempt at being like, we're back, but we're really back now. Because it's like, yes, you can get as far as you can with remakes, like remake 1, remake 3, and all of that, because a safer bet, because these are like the surefire hits. I know Silent Hill 4, The Room, is the one that's iffy for people. I know some people like it.
People either love it or don't. I don't like it. My one friend, it was one of his favorites. I didn't like it at all.
And I know, 4 is that literal split in quality, and then that's when like
and then after that it goes off a cliff. Yeah,
because with the
PSP one was good. The PSP one was good, actually.
Yeah,
which also ties in directly to the first one.
I was watching a streamer playing it via an emulation while they were like leading into F, and she was playing the PS2 version that came out like a few months after the PSP.
I didn't realize that one even got a PS2 version.
Yeah, it was worse because it wasn't that game original was made with the PSP in mind. Right. I know the PS3 360 one, Homecoming, wasn't very well received.
It was that close to being great. That close.
Yeah, and I think in the 2012 one, I think was called Downpour.
Downpour, and it was bad.
Yes,
and then there was always forgotten there was a weird Wii one that was kind of a reimagining of the
Shattered Memory. What was it called? Yes.
But let's be honest with you, the world turning to ice and frost isn't the same as it turning into this rusted industrial complex. Yes. So it just didn't work as well. And I don't even think there was combat in Shattered Memories either.
I don't remember
I think you run away from something, but there was no combat that I remember.
Yeah, when did Shattered Memory? Oh yeah, Shattered Memories was 2009, and
it
was Wii, and it was Wii on 2009. It came to PS2 and PSP. The PS2 really was a Silent Hill machine. They kept like porting everything, and then
it's where the series kind of found its footing. So
yeah, and then Downpour killed it.
I'm actually surprised we never got a DLC for Silent Hill 2. I thought we would get, what was it called, Born from a Wish or whatever. I really thought they would do like they did with the Ada side separate ways. I really thought they would do something like that, and they never did. Because I never played that. I didn't play Silent Hill on Xbox, so I never played that version.
Yeah, and damn, like I was just watching like what did Downpour get in back in 2012? A 4.5 at IGN.
Yeah, that one really was not good. Like Homecoming, you can see in the reviews, people are like, "Hey, there is something here. It's just the gameplay is not very good." Downpour just was bad, plain and simple.
And it sucks that was the identity of that series on 360 and PS3. It's like survival horror was in a weird spot. It was
turning very action heavy.
And that's really unfortunate that happened to that series because
Dead Space was kind of your last good survival horror series at that time.
That was the bad generation for Resident Evil and Silent Hill. It's like because that was such a bad generation for Japanese development in general.
Yeah.
So
and that's actually specifically why Dead Space was made is whoever was the head of Visceral at the time, I guess it was Schofield, wanted to make an actual survival horror game since they weren't survival horror anymore.
And look
EA,
what it did.
Come on, EA.
Yeah,
we need more Dead Space, please.
Yes,
please.
You stupid assholes that they like.
Oh my God, that remake. That remake might be the best survival horror game ever made. Like, come on. Come on.
Yeah. I go back and forth with RE4, of which I like more, but
it's up there. It's up there. Yes. But for me, I think it is Dead Space remake.
I feel like Dead Space is absolutely the better survival horror game. Resident Evil 4 is a more fun action horror game from the two.
I'll agree with that.
Yes, and Dead Space, beautiful next gen looking game. That was like
and what I find interesting. So, just a small thing here. I always said what's interesting about Resident Evil 4 is while I actually did like the remake even better than the original game. The original game is still worth playing, like because they're different enough. Dead Space, there's no reason to play the 360 version now.
Yes,
because that remake does everything that did better.
Yes,
everything that game did better.
Yes, because it's so tonally the same, and it's such a quality of life improvement. Being able to have the entire Ishimura rendered.
That was such a brilliant decision to make it that you can travel around the Ishimura.
Yeah, because it's like the God of War 2018, like everything seamlessly like loaded in and he just made it more immersive. Obviously, for completionist's sake, like the back and forth that happen later on when you're doing the side stuff that you can find, it gets a little tiring because it's like such an enclosed space. But just in the immersion factor alone,
like, it felt like you were actually on the ship now, as opposed to just walking down corridors. Yeah.
So it was like such a brilliant that game. That remake doesn't get the praise it absolutely
deserves. It doesn't. No, it doesn't. It 100%. Like I said, I do believe it's the best survival horror game ever made.
Yeah,
I really do.
And again, like EA doing the EA thing that every time we're changing a new leaf, we're doing single player stuff here, and then it's like, nah, they always do this. They always kind of like get us as like, no, they change their ways, and then suddenly like, no, let's flip it on their side. And it's so unfortunate because Dead Space 2, a remake of Dead Space 2 would have been so awesome.
I was said too, Dead Space 2, better game. Not as good survival horror games. Yeah. I'd be very interested to see if they bridge that gap a little bit.
That's what
Dead Space 2. Yeah. Dead Space 2 is probably one of the best games ever made.
Yes.
That game is amazing.
And the Dead Space 2 would be more a direct comparison to RE4 for me because it's action horror. It's an action horror game that nails the jump scare. I would say.
And also it moves at a breakneck pace at all times. There is no moment to stop and catch your breath in Dead Space 2.
Yes, Dead Space 2 is such a immaculately paced game. It's so like engrossing from moment one. It's I remember Greg Miller, like, because he was the one that reviewed it for IGN back in the day, that he's like he was like a theme park ride, like a horror theme park ride.
That's actually a good analogy to make.
Yeah, and that's
metaphor.
Yes, and I loved it for it, even though one's vibe is so unique and it's the better survival horror game out of the two. Then there's 3, which is a good action game.
I am a defender of 3, actually. I like 3's story a lot, for one.
Yeah. But it's like
a couple of tweaks to 3 would make it from being an 8 out of 10 to being a 9.5 out of 10. Just a couple minor little tweaks. Change the way the ammo works is one of them. Like, instead of having universal ammo, and then that's right. Get rid of the modifying weapons and more make it that they are pre-made weapons. And then bam, you've got a game every bit worthy of the Dead Space name if you do that. Yeah,
it's just unfortunate that game is so cursed now, kind of like to live in infamy, despite the fact that it's not a bad game in the slightest. It's just so high quality, like in the Dead Space, and like what you expect from Dead Space. It's just not. It's not as good as 1 and 2, but it's still pretty good. That's why I say it's like I don't agree that it's bad, but it's still a pretty good game.
And actually, I mean, like I said, if you got into the Dead Space story and I read the books and all kinds of stuff, it actually was a really cool story.
Yeah.
Like learning where the Necromorphs originate and some of that was really neat. And it ends on one of the most brutal cliffhangers.
So,
like it ends on a cliffhanger. Then they had the DLC, and the DLC's cliffhanger is the most blue balls I think I've ever freaking had.
Yeah.
Technically, it can be an end, but my God, it clearly was not meant to be.
It's clearly not, and in fact, like if you remember, they were hinging the future of Dead Space over it selling 5 million copies, and it only sold 3, and they're like,
was that what the number was? I didn't see the number.
Yeah, which I find so funny because then when Callisto Protocol was made by Glenn Schofield, apparently they promised Krafton, who was the one that funded it, is like, we're gonna get 5 millions of the sucker. I'm like, you really went down, like you pulled the exact same bullshit that.
Yeah, although Schofield, I don't think was the head for Dead Space 3. I think he'd already left, hadn't he?
At that point, he like because it was like a. But it's so funny that he fell, like, because he left after the first one, or after the second one, I think. I think he did the first two, and then went to do the Call of Duty thing before he went to Craft and be like, I'm giving the survival horror people the kind of game that they want from me, because they're not doing Dead Space.
Right.
And then Callisto Protocol happened, which to me, Callisto Protocol is so unfortunate because there was signs of greatness in that thing if they had gone a different direction.
Callisto Protocol's biggest issue, more than anything, was how much they intentionally hid what it actually was.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of showing what kind of game it actually was, they kept showing things that made it look like it was Dead Space, which is what people got to expect.
Yeah.
And then when it wasn't Dead Space, people were like, what the hell is this? Plus, the reality is, Callisto Protocol was far, far too short, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Super
short. Like, honestly, that game needed to be double the length that it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And also, that game cost way too much because they put too much production.
Yeah, well, that too, obviously. No doubt about it.
So, like, I think it cost 160 million, which is, like, wild for a game that short.
Like a 6-hour game, maybe.
Mm-hmm. It's 6 to 8, and I platinumed it. I remember I was like, Callisto Protocol was a game I desperately wanted to like, especially because it was so.
I did like it, but it should have been a 9, and it was more like a 7. A 7, yeah.
A 6.5 to a 7. I would say closer to a 7, but it's still like an unfortunate fumble from the creator of Dead Space.
Sure.
And the remake was so great that
right. It just doubled down how much it wasn't what it needed to be.
Yeah, but Silent Hill F, I would say I highly recommend it, even if I'm closer to like Indie 8. I would say like kind of like big, and that's because of my combat hangups. But if what you want is like true sort of like a very dreary survival horror like experience, absolutely play it. I feel like more than anything, like if you want Silent Hill to still like be out there and thriving and like still like exist in the vernacular of survival horror, I would say this is not a game to just buy just to support like blindly. I feel like they actually did a pretty.
Yeah, you're actually getting a game out of it too, right?
Like,
also, I keep saying it, buy Chronos.
Yeah.
Buy Chronos, because Chronos is a good game. Show Bloober when they make a good game, we'll support them.
Yeah, and I know we have like an indication that it's selling softly, which. In
the month that is September,
in the month that is September right now with so much shit, like Hades 2 that came out literally today. Like I did my first run. It definitely is more Hades. It's tighter Hades. Now you play as a witch instead of like a warrior, and too early for me to tell. I might stream it either later today or maybe tomorrow because I'm feeling a little tired. But yeah, that's out. Got 10 from IGN. It's like the highest rated game of the year now. Shocker. So it's once again another Hades game, like a highly reviewed game. I feel like we're getting close to game of the year being completely indie AA. Like that's gonna be like the big
except for something that comes out next week that I feel pretty confident now is going to be in the candidacy. I do.
I feel it because in the PlayStation land they also have Death Stranding. Maybe they're like that one's.
That's true. It'll be one of the two.
Yeah.
But I think Yote is a little more wide-reaching in terms of
appeal.
Like I would say those the Death Stranding hits for are going to be way more in fan because it's obviously a bit more unique as compared to Yote. Mm-hmm. But I think Yote has a much bigger umbrella in terms of people that would like it. Assuming they don't boycott it for either ultra one side or one side the other reasons, because both are apparently happening at the same time.
I know,
it's just how stupid it is.
Yes, and ironically, I saw that the pre-order charts for Yote were so high everywhere.
Boy, who would have thought that a boycott failed? That never happens, right?
Yeah,
it was so successful against Hogwarts Legacy, and it was so successful against Assassin's Creed Shadows, and it was Oh, wait a minute. It really failed in both of those cases, didn't it?
Absolutely. Like Assassin's Creed Shadows is still the third best-selling game of the year. So
And there's still people that try to tell you it didn't do well.
yeah, because
it's like you are straight up lying to yourself if you think that.
Because they're trying to be
push a narrative.
And they're being selected by us. So like, then why is Ubisoft stock like dropping? Like, dudes,
they make more than one game. Yeah,
so it's like one game was not going to save it. In fact, they know that one game was not going to save it because they spinned out as like.
But it actually did help stabilize them a bit. Not as much as I'm sure they would have preferred, but let's be honest, it never could have. It could have sold 30 million copies, and it still would not have stabilized them as much as they wanted to. But it did help a little bit.
Yeah, I would say this. It helped to stabilize enough that Ubisoft literally disappeared from the news.
Yes.
It literally did. Like, it's so funny to really think about that because... obviously, I forgot. I'm playing the DLC, the Class of Awaji, because
you keep saying Ed Jari.
Yeah,
on Bitcast twice, I was like Awaji, Alex, Awaji.
Yeah, it's like for some reason there's like the Japanese names keep like messing me up. Like I still don't know how to say the name of the main character for Silent Hill F, and I beat the game. It said Shibuya Hinoku, I think. I
do not know what her surname is, but
I think
actually, I forget what it is. Hold on, I'll look it up.
Yeah, look it up. This is like, so I know it's Shinuku something, Hinoku. Yeah, like look it up. See.
Oops. Silent Hill F protagonist. Hinako Shimizu.
Shimizu Hinako. Right?
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah. If it's said in Japanese, Shimizu comes first. Hanako is her. I'm sorry. It'd be her first name, if you will.
Yeah. So
Hinako, not Hanako. Hinako. I'm sorry.
And Hinako. Again, it's a game that I beat. I played 9 hours of that game. That game is still the name's still. So of course I'm not gonna make like the Awaji thing. So I played a DLC. I haven't beat it yet because like again too big. Like
it's actually pretty long. It's a long DLC from what I've seen.
It is. It's like they even like promote it as 10 hours of content. Like when you log into Shadows. So in the island space and the island play space is literally half of Ghost of Tsushima because it's in an island. So I'm like,
right.
Dang, like
there's one thing that they did that I mean, obviously I have not played it yet because I haven't finished Shadows, but I don't like how they've basically made it to get the bow. You have to be able to get to Awaji. That was a bad move. Like you should be able to get the bow early, the bow staff early. I don't know why they did that.
And you've probably seen videos of like the executions. Like it's like,
pretty cool. It's pretty
really
cool. Yeah.
I was wearing it. Like that was a really cool like bow stuff. And I would say in the brief time that I play, I said this over at the Bitcast, and I'm saying it more. I feel like in typical Ubisoft Quebec fashion, their DLC improves on the main game. Like when it comes to like design.
They usually do. Yeah. Well, I mean, like you just said, they usually do.
Yes, and I feel like the town that you're running around, especially now with all the new parkour that they've added. You feel kind of like that feels cool to be able to do all this parkour and like all this like because there's so much empty space in
by this do you mean there's new parkour in Awaji, or you mean when they added the update a few months ago?
Yeah, when they added it.
Okay,
because I had not played it because remember I was so burnt out that I was like I don't want to go back for like just this little. I just want to go back for like the big update. So I was like, okay, when the DLC that is free because it was gonna be part of the season pass, and then when they delayed the game last year from when it was gonna come out in November, they were like, oh yeah, and we're no longer doing like the gold edition that came with the season pass. They refunded us like, and as a feel good thing, we're gonna give this the DLC that was gonna be in this thing for free. So if you beat Shadows, you have to beat the game. You have to reach a specific one to be able to. There's no way to like access this DLC halfway through, kind of like Iki Island and
right. Yeah, this is absolutely takes place after.
Yeah.
After the 13 or whatever it is main targets, Naoe's missions, Yasuke's missions, and then Junjiro's however many he has.
Junjiro's side quest when you finish all his. That was the thing that I was missing because I was like,
I saw you said that. I had thought you did that, which is why I didn't call that out because you said about all the targets, and I thought you meant all the extraneous targets. I'm like, I don't think they matter for that. And I mean, I assume you have to destroy kill all the main targets to finish the game.
And the thing with Junjiro's thing is that Junjiro's thing it doesn't present as a main quest. It's just one of the side quests that are like part of the companion like slots. That's why I didn't. I was halfway through because I only needed to finish 2 more of them, which is a bunch of fetch quests where you have to find him in places and all that. So it's kind of boring what you do with Junjiro. But once I finished that, finally unlocked the thing that you needed to do to get like the conclusion, like the full conclusion to the epilogue. and that sets you off. Be like that because it's gonna they finish off as an ongoing story. So it's like they made it clear it's like this story is not ending. There's more to this,
Mm.
but Josuke was the one that got more closure in the main thread
Mm.
than now. Now it definitely was like
Right, yeah, I know actually that you are looking for her mother
yeah,
or dealing, excuse me, dealing with her mother in
yeah,
Awaji, which is cool.
yeah, and that was left wide open because the
Hmm.
mom was like connected to Yasuke too. So it's
Hmm.
like
Oh, okay,
yeah,
interesting.
it's actually that was one of the cooler things of how why he was so smitten by trying to get like get into a partnership with Naoe because it's like back then it's like
I guess thinking about it, and minor spoilers for an early
mm-hmm,
segment of it, but when you are doing the mission at Hanaji Temple, I forget what it's called.
uh-huh,
I guess Nobunaga does make a mention of Tsuyu, doesn't he?
uh-huh,
Now that you say that, I forgot. He does mention her in some way.
yeah, and because Josuke remembers when she met her when he was a slave, like early in his slave
Oh,
in the
okay.
slave era. It's like that's something you eventually find in the game because everybody basically knows. So
Mm.
I feel like this DLC makes good in one of the things that I didn't like in Shadows, which was that I was always a bigger fan of the character of Josuke and his story more than I was Nao's because Nao's felt so her story so generic. Like her story was very box standard to me. It was so yeah, it's like a revenge tale. She's the assassin, all that. I like playing as her because she is the one that has the gameplay that I
And
like from
it's
Assassin's
actually
Creed.
gotten even better since you played
Exactly, she feels so much better.
her gameplay is amazing now.
Yeah, so it's like I still feel like, and again, this is something that I prefer also from like this DLC. Like the bases where you could do stealth around and all that eventually became a little too copy paste for me. Like
Hmm.
that I was like the stealth mechanics of this game are so good. I even saw Gene Park because he reviewed Jote today, and it was kind of like doing the comparison. He even said that I think Jote is a better game, but from a stealth mechanics perspective, I feel Shadows is still more sophisticated. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I agree with that. There's like, and I feel like the sophistication of the mechanics for the stealth in Shadows deserve more curated spaces than the ones that you find in the open world.
It almost deserves a non-open world, or at least it deserves missions that are not in the open world.
And that's where Awaji gets it right because it's
Oh,
finally
that's good.
because it feels
That's
like
good.
I feel there's more curation in what
Hmm.
in what I've seen with Awaji. Still haven't finished it because I'm playing a million other things, including a redacted game that you know of that I have
Hmm.
to review by next week. But it's like it reminded me. It's like look, I have problems with Shadows. I definitely feel lesser about it than I did back in March, but I still think it's a really good game. All things here,
I think it's a great game.
yeah, all things removed from like how the circumstances of me playing too much of it in such a little time,
Yeah,
and
unfortunately, because of you doing the review in a relatively brief
mm,
time period,
yeah,
you were forced to play it in a fairly unnatural way that
mm,
probably negatively affected your,
yeah,
not so much your opinion, because your review was pretty fair, but
mm,
more your lingering opinion of it than anything else.
exactly, and because it's just burnout, it's kind of like similar to how I feel about GTA 5 that I beat that game in such a short span of time because I didn't want to pull a GTA 4 where I dropped off and never finished it until like 5 years later. And I was with a roommate that felt very uncomfortable when I was playing that game because he was black.
Oh
And
yeah, I remember you said that.
yeah,
Yeah,
so it was like during
and there's a lot of racial slurs in it. Yes.
yeah. So during that fall break when he was gone and I stayed at the dorms, I binge played that game to reckless abandon. It's a long
Mm.
game, and
It's very long.
so imagine dealing or like playing the majority of that game because I only played some of the early parts before that fall break and then did the entirety of that in 2 or 3 days. I felt sick, and that lingering kind of like
Mm.
memory playing
And
that
actually,
much.
the unfortunate part is too the parts that you compress so heavily are by far the best parts of the game too.
Exactly.
Like the final 40% of GTA 5 is
It's
by
great.
far the best part of it.
Yeah, with like the things that you can do, like how those
Hmm.
missions escalate from dropping
Hmm.
from a parachute into like
Hmm.
into like a
It's when they get
motorcycle.
really creative in what they
Mm-hmm.
did,
But
and
everything was
unfortunately,
such a blur.
you were not able to enjoy
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah, because everything was like a blur. So I'm feeling that happened to me with Shadow. That's why like my opinion was like I've been trying to reserve my opinion on. I was like I was glad that this DLC came on because I was like okay I'm not gonna review this because it's technically free and we don't have like the obligation for it. Plus I had already other obligations for you. I kind of want to at least save play it because Jote is coming soon. I also don't want to burn out in too much of the style of game. I'm glad the reviews of Jote are great. They're better than
Yeah, they're better than I expect them to be.
yeah, they're better than Sushima's, which was an 83. That's kind of what's funny. I felt the 83 was proper, but a lot of people felt higher of Tsushima back in the 2020. I still am of the belief that the proximity of that game to The Last of Us Part 2.
It hurt Ghost of Tsushima with anybody with good taste, yes.
Yes. In the review period, it hurt it, but I feel like the fan vote helped it, especially for the people that felt spite, like resentment over The Last of Us 2. They were like, oh, this is my game now. I feel like a lot of people really like found their refuge in Tsushima when they felt like spited by Last of Us 2's creative swings, let's say. But besides that, like I feel like I like the DLC for Tsushima. I still think I want to see the thing that encourages me, because my big critique of Tsushima is that I don't think the story is that great. The world is great. The gameplay is great. I found Jin Sakai too boring a character. Sometimes a little too.
I think it's more his interactions with his uncle that in particular are what people latch, and myself included.
Yes.
Like genuinely, I actually thought that ending was kind of powerful. Yes. Like I was like, man,
it's the only thing I remember from that game. Like kind of like.
Oh really? I actually remember that game surprisingly well, to be honest with you. But I forget her name, but the girl that turns him into the ghost, like she was completely forgettable. Her brother, because of what happens to him, is more memorable than her. Yeah. But like, well, and I will say also, Koten Khan I thought was pretty memorable because also I recognize the actor. So Brendan Gallagher, I believe is his name. Is that right? But like he looks exactly like him, so you can tell it's him. Yeah. But I actually thought that he was a very, very cool antagonist because he was like imposing and threatening and really seemed like he had like a commanding presence to him.
Yeah. And I've also realized that feudal Japan is just not top of the line for me when it comes to like settings that I love. I love Japan culture. I love more modern Japanese or even more ninja style, like Ninja Gaiden. Think about kind of like the era where the Ninja Gaiden is kind of set. It's kind of like there's like some modern stuff that's there instead of like more feudal stuff. So that's probably why like I always had like a hands, like I feel like I had enough of a distance with my engagement with these games that I don't feel as high as most people do with that. But I'm still gonna play Yote specifically because people say that the performance of the ghost of Yote, her name, like whatever her name is, it's much better than
Atsu.
Atsu. They say that that she's a much more compelling protagonist than Jin is, and I'm like, this being kind of like a fresher start makes me more excited as like giving this new Ghost game kind of like, okay, it's like my baggage with Tsushima game that I still liked. I just I said it in your 50th episode. I feel like Ghost of Tsushima was probably the PS4's the PS4's most overrated exclusive out of all of them. Considering how many people really love that, because there's some people that were like, no, this is 2020 game of the year.
Yeah. If you say that, you're insane because it wasn't even close to Last of Us 2.
Yeah, Last of Us 2 was the best game that year.
I loved Ghost of Tsushima. I really did. I thought my biggest issue with Ghost of Tsushima more than anything else was that the stealth sucked.
Yeah.
and it sounds like that hasn't changed much with Yote. However, it is not really forced upon you in Yote like it was in Tsushima, which it's part of the story of Tsushima, so I get it. But in Yote, it's like, hey, if you want to play stealth, go ahead, but we know nobody wants to play it that way because the combat is what's good.
Yeah, so. And that's the one that is the one area that unanimously Shadows has over Tsushima. It's like
by a mile. It's like close,
just mechanically. It's just like it's like with one hand tied behind its back, because like it's great mechanics that deserve even more curation, like more like a more Ubisoft style. Like I would even say like Star Wars Outlaws even has more curated stealth than even Shadows, because there's like more crafted in, and I enjoy that, especially now that they fixed the AI for Outlaws after they did that entire overhaul.
Partly, I wouldn't say fixed it, but they improved it.
Oh yeah, but I played it before launch.
They still have vision cones like this.
Yes.
Like Metal Gear 1.
Yeah, but it's still like there was no vision cone at all. They would see you randomly. Even
though they were horrible at first.
Yeah. The consistency of Outlaws was not good. So, but it's more curated in its scenarios than base game Shadows, and I would say they probably took that into heart with Hawaii, because so far I'm finding more curation, and I have not found much copy-pasted environments like it. And even like the town that you arrive in, there's more rooftops in it that I feel it feels good using the new parkour that they've updated since the launch to be able to like enjoy it, because places where you can parkour like that is so few and far between in like the mainland game, because there's so much like open terrain there. So
once you finish, I mean, I know obviously the plates are all pretty full right now, but just for the purpose of checking out, I do suggest once you finish Awaji, Start a new game plus save. I assume it'll work. I assume it'll work with the other game where it's not like you get rid of your existing one; it'll just be a separate save. And try the game on at least with the combat on Nightmare. The stealth in Nightmare could be a little obnoxious at times, actually, because sometimes it's like, okay.
And they took out I saw the guaranteed assassination option is not available in Nightmare. So.
But new game plus, you shouldn't need it anyway. Because you should effectively have it with upgrades by that point anyway.
Yeah, I have enough points that I can unspec it from something and just kind of put it in everything in the upgrade tree. I just never put it because I was like, I'm not going to use this entire tree because it's like it already tells me there's like, oh yeah, guaranteed assassination is enabled, so don't bother here. So, but
I would definitely say check it out that way because I'll tell you what, it does fundamentally change how you play the game. If you're Naue, you cannot be reckless. Like you have to be stealthy because if you're fighting more than maybe 2 enemies, you're not gonna survive as her.
Yeah, I still take a little issue that you have to really crank up the difficulty for all of that to feel really like that.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that at all. So the problem. So I was even like, well, the nice thing is if I decide that Nightmare is too hard, and there's times where I think it is too hard, I can knock it back down. However, it does make one major issue for me. Because of what we were just saying, I would intentionally keep my gear at a low level so that I wasn't surviving 50 attacks. When you play Nightmare, you cannot do that. You have to keep your gear. So unfortunately, if I knock it down to expert, I'll still be able to blast through combat encounters because I'll have all the extra health and stuff like that. But
yeah, as soon as I got enable guaranteed assassination, I went to like a level 35 area, the one that's at the bottom of where the starting area.
Key.
That and I was like level 5. I was like, oh, let's see. And that was awesome because I was like, if I mess up here, I'm done because it's good that you can do the guaranteed assassination here, but it's like that's what I wanted more of. And
I get that.
Yeah, and they of course there's the option to kind of give it, but it's like I know something that I actually agree with criticism of like I feel like Ubisoft really needs to pick a lane because I feel like they just want to, especially with Shadows. They want to be everything. They want to be everything for everyone. Because
are you referring to what Matty said on Defining Dudes? I agree with it, but I agree with it a little more of how he said it. But I assume you mean the same thing.
Yes,
which is not pick a lane as much as when you make a game, pick a lane.
Exactly.
Don't try to make the game for everybody.
Exactly.
But make both. You do need to keep making the old styles, but keep making the RPGs.
Exactly.
Don't try to make the RPGs the old styles. That's where the issue is coming.
Yeah, and that's kind of like where I agree with Matty because I really listened to
I agree with what he said.
Of that. Shadows is like, oh yeah, you can do the guaranteed one-hit assassination. Oh, but it's also you can play it as the RPG where you can make decisions. Oh no, you don't need to make decisions. There's a canon mode and all that. So it's like it's them trying.
That was weird. That was very weird. I agree with that.
Because it's like, is this the RPG or not? This like, and that's kind of like why I feel like I'm not surprised Yote is better received because I 100% believe that game feels like a more. Its identity is a little bit more defined of what it is, based versus Shadows.
It's a more streamlined.
That wants to be everything for it, and that's a Ubisoft problem. That I feel like they just want every game to just be everything for everyone. And I feel like there's so much talent within Ubisoft. I mean, like we saw what that talent did when they left and did a turn-based RPG. So it's like I know that there's creativity there that. Sure. They just don't need to make all these games that have to be jack of all trades, master of none. Especially because I kind of say that hearing that Jin say, the stealth of Shadows is very sophisticated. I agree that it's very sophisticated. It needed
it's surprisingly sophisticated, in fact.
Yeah, it's sophisticated mechanics in a game not built for them. That's finally what DLC is doing.
It needs to, like I'm okay with it being in that, but it needs a game where it is a linear game where you are going through, like you said, curated linear levels to use these abilities, but multiple branching paths, right? So if you want to use the blowing out lamps, you can do that, or if you want to crawl under, whatever. But I do agree that the open world probably does negatively affect otherwise exceptionally good stealth mechanics.
Yeah, they really did good, especially because Assassin's Creed is always flirted with ever getting good with stealth, and it's never gotten this good until they got here. So they got the mechanics now. Get better with your curation, Ubisoft. If you curate better, you probably will do less bloated games. Personally, I think like the copy paste is just a symptom of them having to make games that are so big. So, but yeah, that's all about what we've been playing basically. Another game that I mentioned, Redacted, I'll be able to talk about next week. So, a state of play happened this week, Eric. You watched it, right? Because you commented on one of the updates.
I did. The reason you didn't see me talking about it was because
you were
I got
at work.
home. Well, I got home. Well, I left in time, or I was supposed to leave in time to be able to watch it, but I piddled around. So I ended up having to start the stream and then go back 5 minutes. So I'd see you guys talking, and I wouldn't look at what you were saying.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, so overall, this was an okay to good state of play. I usually can't expect that, but I would say that this is probably lifted by the fact that first party showed up at the beginning and at the end. I would say that I prefer the state of play from June because of my preference to Japanese style games, and there was a lot of those games in that.
Remind me what June was again.
June was that started with Lumens. We got Neo 3 was revealed. Bloodstained.
Yeah. June was very good. June was very good. Yes.
That was one that we unanimously was like, oh, this is one of the best state of plays we've seen.
It was one of them in Tokon, right?
Yeah, Tokon.
Okay. Very, very good one. Yes.
Yeah. So I would say this one was lesser because it was slightly shorter, but it still did the thing that I enjoy of like, okay, there's a lot of releases that at least I can start penciling in what's available to us within like the next few months.
So if I can give my just very quick overview of it. So unfortunately there was not much here for me, but I don't dispute that it was a good show. It did not have much fluff. It had speakers for some reason, but outside of that, it moved at a good pace. It had a lot of stuff, and it did not have the typical bullshit, that they always want to shove in there. Like, it did have stuff that people that are watching this would be interested in.
Yeah.
It did not have, unfortunately, almost anything I was interested in.
Exactly. And that was always going to be like the catch-22 of any showcase like this. It's going to be, it's like why, for example, the developer direct from Xbox from January was so for me. Like, I liked all those 5 games.
Yes, this one was very good. Yes, this year's was very good.
Yeah, so it was like, it always, like, it depends on someone's individual taste. And that's why, like, I know you did not like the one from January, because I remember that's the one that revealed Saros. I like that one just for, like, all the release dates that gave for almost the entire year that have all kind of, like, become solid. Even though there were games that you didn't care for, like Borderlands. Borderlands was there.
Borderlands is a big deal. It just isn't a big deal for me.
Exactly. So it's like it had that Hellas House was there. They gave the release like Hellas House had a deeper look there. So it's like it was. I know in that was like a lot of people really hang their hat on that January state of play to kind of like underline the situation with Sony and first party, because it only came with the Saros reveal, and this was after all that we had just heard that state of play happened after the cancellation of bands and Blue Point's team, because it's the reality of like crap. It's like they really like went down this rabbit hole. That's kind of like
it showed that if you were holding out to any hope that there was something, that hope was gone, because it was looking pretty dire at this point.
And then it's like slowly but surely now we understand kind of like what awaits PS6 is like, how they're treating every state of play is that they're giving a spotlight to 1 or 2 major PlayStation Studios games. They're taking advantage of the fact that PlayStation is the place where people play a lot of these games. So it's like basically you by inertia you may want to hear what kind of third-party games you're getting there, because like it's like an all-encompassing de facto machine. And then at the very least now, remember there were state of plays where first party wouldn't show up at all. That used to, and they at least since May 2024's, they have shown up with some first party, and that one was Concord, RIP, and Astrobot, and that was the first reveal for Astrobot. That then I was like, it's out in a few months.
It had been so heavily rumored that you knew it existed, but it was the official reveal of it. Yes,
exactly. And it was cool that it was revealed and out that same year. And look how big Astrobot did for them. And the one from September of last year ended with Yote, and now we're like literally within a week of its release. So it's like,
which is crazy. Until you said that, I did not realize it was next week. I thought it was the week after.
Yes,
I was like, damn.
Yeah, it's literally next week. And it's like I feel like them becoming a little bit more conservative, like spotlighting the big one, or like one big one every tiny showcase they do with the state of play, has helped with like also the imminence of when we're getting these games now, because like just like we're having Jote now, within a year we're gonna get Wolverine. We're gonna talk about that later. And Saros was in January revealed. It's gonna be out in March. So it's like we can kind of start with that. Saros from Housemark out on March 20th, 2026. I know I talked with you that you were not big on Returnal, right?
I wasn't. I will say I'm still not interested in Saros, but what he said, whoever the guy was, does specifically address maybe my biggest issue with Returnal, which is that it just felt like you were throwing yourself against the wall for nothing, since there was almost no persistent improvement in Returnal outside of like the Metroidvania abilities that you would get. It does sound like Saros, because I mean that was a complaint about it. Like it wasn't like I made that up.
Yeah.
But he did address and say that you are continually getting permanent improvements in Saros, which is a big thing. I probably still won't bother that much with it, but I don't know, maybe.
Yes.
Maybe.
I enjoy playing Returnal. Very hard game, I would say.
Very tough, yes.
My tolerance for H.G. Geiger style aesthetic eventually bored me a little bit, because, and that was like always the aesthetic of that first biome, and I always needed to kind of like push through to the second for that visual kind of like variety to start in, even though I feel that game was like very pretty and its particle effects and all that. One of the first really good uses of the PS5's architect, especially it was a PS5 only game. I like the aesthetic already of Saros better, that alone, and hearing that thing of like thinking more about like the permanent improvements that you can get, that's big in a game like Hades too. It's like that makes runs feel like more like, and it was one of the few things I enjoyed about
there's still a purpose to it, even if you don't have a good run, whereas in Returnal, if you didn't have a good run, you just wasted time basically.
Exactly. So it's like it's just basically like get good, and like Returnal was like a get good roguelite, and that's why it was like tough. But it like the people that fuck with Returnal, and it's like this is definitely getting more. It's interesting that it's taken 5 years for them to do a follow-up that still looks very similar, despite not being like in classic Housemarque, unless you're called Super Stardust, they never do a direct sequel. They always do something different. So it's like, hey, but they're like one of the few that got a sequel out in the PS5 generation. So it's like at least, and
they're one of the few that have made a game in the PS5 generation.
And I think, and ideally, that thing of we learn about this game in January/February. It's out in March of within kind of like the calendar year. I feel that's you saw the joke of my tweet that's blowing up right now, right? That it's like Wolverine, the first time we heard it and the first time we actually saw gameplay is literally a college career length. Like someone started college and finished college, is probably in grad school. If they saw the first trailer of Wolverine finally getting to see it, it's like that's not acceptable to me. I feel that's too long a wait. So it's like
I will say in their defense, I'm sure the leaks probably set that back a year, at least. But it's still too long. I'm not arguing that at all. But I do think that I said the leaks, the hack, getting hacked in, I'm sure probably did set that back a pretty good bit of time.
Yeah. So I, for one, I'm okay with like this shorter kind of like windows. Like Jyoti is another example, kind of like I said. It's like we saw it literally a year ago, and now it's like literally imminent. So it's like that's enough of a wait for me to build enough hype and understanding that it's coming. So because then
hopefully that your cycle also falls for Intergalactic, because then that'll be a 2026 game. When did that get revealed? It was like
at the Game Awards.
Actually, I'd be this year then. So obviously that's not the case. But
yes. So it got revealed at the Game Awards of last year. So if it shows up again at the Game Awards this year with an art trailer, that's gonna be.
I would say we're within 6 to 8 months if it shows up. And I can see that. I know a lot of people don't say there's no way they see it being 2026. I'm like,
there's a chance
I do. Naughty Dog they might say they're working on something. They don't usually show it until it's fairly close to done.
Yeah. Yeah. Only Last of Us Part 2 was the one that they showed a little too early because they were so eager.
It was because it had leaked so heavily that it was being made. So they had to eventually get ahead of it.
Yes, because there was like that leak. Because I remember I saw the art of Ellie with a guitar. So that's why I was like, oh, so that's apparently gonna happen, huh? So, but hey, Saros, a game from first, like people are making jokes finally, like, hey, actual Sony first party is actually putting out games now. It's not published by.
Who'd have thought?
Like, what would have thought? So. Next game was Zero Parades from Disco Elysium Dev, and that's out in 2026. This one has an asterisk because it is the developer, but apparently the original dev from Disco Elysium.
Every single original dev is gone. It's just the studio name.
Yeah, so that one's an interesting one. That is like they're parading kind of like something the game looks like the kind of game that they made, but it's not the creative team that made Disco Elysium what it was. That's out in 2026, one of the vaguer ones. Something that it was, to me, it's still shocking to see, but it's just emblematic of where we are. Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 was shown at this state of play with the Xbox Game Studios logo there. It's coming out on December 8th and comes with PSVR 2 support, which I think is really cool.
It's being added later. It doesn't come with it, but it's being added. Okay. Yeah.
But it's like, hey, The PlayStation version is gonna have that extra mode that
I did not play any of 2024, but I played a lot of 2020, and actually I
heard it's better. I heard 2020 is better than 2024.
Well, I don't know about now. At launch, it definitely was, because 2024 didn't work at launch. But my point was, I played it on my PC, and I did play it in VR. And while it was kind of busted, because it was still kind of a work in progress, there was no question. It's like, man, this is 1,000 times better to do in VR. This is because it actually felt like you were flying. Because I actually have a flight throttle and stick. I was like, this actually feels like you're piloting a plane when you're in VR. This is really cool. So. I mean, I've lamented how poor Sony has done with PSVR 2, which I think anybody that owns it has also done the same. That's a big get. That is a big get, because that will be a really good one in VR.
Yeah, and Microsoft Flight Simulator is a big thing. It's
very big.
Yeah, it's big.
People genuinely underestimate how big Microsoft Flight Simulator is. Because it's not like Ace Combat. They don't think anybody cares, but the reality is there are a lot of people that play Microsoft.
It's the way like how you like your road trip games of kind of like Deliver. Like those are the kind of games that people just immerse themselves on, like the experience of flying around or going around the coziness.
It's just fun to fly around and see what you know, and like it's literally the best example that there is of virtual tourism. That's exactly what it is. And like they make such a big effort now to actually get like the big cities to be accurate. You know, when you go like fly over your city, I mean yours, and if you don't live in a major city, you start to notice the cracks in what looks good and what doesn't.
And a lot of people say that they've gone directly to where they live and they see their place.
I did that in 2020, not in 2024, but in 2020 I did. But if you live or know of a major city, they are surprisingly accurate. Like they are pretty. I flew over Tokyo, which was when the Tokyo Olympics were going on, and I found the damn building they had, the like the ice hockey and stuff like that. I'm like, this is incredible how like precise they are on everything. So this is a big deal. Don't let anybody ever convince you that this is not a big deal. This is.
And if you didn't know that, if you're still inhaling the copium that Microsoft had not gone full in on the third party, kind of like the third being a third party publisher.
This one was always going to come out cross-platform. I mean, first of all, there's a lot of money in licensing here, so they had to support this one eventually.
Yeah, but I feel
I'm surprised it took this long.
Yes, but if the fact that this wasn't just a random PlayStation blog post.
Yeah, you're right. That is weird that it was there.
Yeah, so it's like it just kind of shows, but again, it's like that's the reality of where we are now. Campaign look for Battlefield 6. So obviously, like campaigns have always been iffy for me with Battlefield. Like I enjoyed the one from Battlefield Bad Company 1 and 2. I loved Battlefield 3 was okay. Battlefield 4 was like. Yeah, exactly. It's like, especially compared to Battlefield Bad Company 1 and 2, it's like, it felt very like a step back. And
I didn't like Bad Company 1's, but I did like Bad Company 2's campaign, though.
Yes, it felt like a more refined version of 1's. So it's like, the campaign at the very least looks like well made. And I know that they literally built studios to focus on this campaign. This was like Marcus Leto, the guy that was part of the original Bungie team that made Halo and all that, had this team that made Battlefield Studios to focus on that, so the DICE could only focus on the multiplayer. Since we played the multiplayer, we know they nailed the multiplayer. I think that was probably like a good choice. And I read previews for the campaign that dropped literally after they showed this trailer.
Yeah, IGN had one up right away. And Mark Medina did it.
Yeah, and apparently people are feeling very positive about it. So
this will be I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, exactly. Because
but I'm getting the game anay, so.
Exactly. Good. I'm getting it for the multiplayer anyway because we had so much fun playing that beta. My sister's awaiting to do another round.
Is she committed to it? Is she getting it? Okay.
Yeah, she's committed.
She didn't seem committed when she seemed like she was open to the idea, but
she told her boyfriend, be like, we gotta buy this. You gotta buy me this game because I want to play because I had so much fun with Battlefield. So she keeps whenever I play with her, she's still I'm like, man, I'm so tired of this foreign. She's literally saying like, I'm so tired of foreign. I can't wait for Battlefield. When's Battlefield coming out? So it's like that was still such a night when we played was.
We're gonna have a fair sized crew that's gonna be interested in playing that. So we'll never have a hard time finding a squad.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that everything's like going so well for Battlefield 6 right now that the fact that even people are positive for campaign when that wasn't in the previous campaign wasn't even really shown. Besides like the reveal of Battlefield 3 where they showed that desert city with the earthquake over and over. That's all they kept showing about that game because of the tech. So it's like,
and it was the PC version because the console version did not look like that.
Yeah, so it's like Battlefield 6 is looking like it's in a good spot right now. Let's hope we're getting close. We're literally 15 days away.
Considering how uninterested most people seem to be with Call of Duty, this is their chance. And if they fail this time, they'll never get the ground back.
Exactly. It will be like an absolute failure. If it's like, this is the first, I keep saying, is like, never have I seen Call of Duty fold like if they have with the changing the skins thing. They're not bringing all that bullshit again, because like, that's when you know they're scared, because people are genuinely excited about Battlefield 6. So
if I had to guess, I would say Battlefield will actually outsell. Well, surprise. I mean, I one of them you don't have to buy half the places you can play it on, but I would guess Call of Duty will probably. I don't know. See, the thing about Battlefield is Battlefield. It's always about the long tail as opposed to the upfront. So that's tough to. Whereas Call of Duty, it's always like a spurt for the first 6 months and then it dies.
Yeah, and I feel like, for example, even the worst selling one, which was Infinite Warfare in 2016, which is the last time that I felt like Call of Duty had a lot of negative sentiment prior to launch. Ironically, the last one they did a futuristic one.
With a great campaign, let's be clear. Everybody was stupid. That campaign was awesome.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the sad irony of all of that. That was that the campaign was legit awesome.
I do know the multiplayer was bad. I know that, but the campaign to that was the best they have had since probably the 360.
Yeah, and then was only like closely met by the 2019 Modern Warfare campaign. But even then, I still prefer Infinite Warfare.
I liked Infinite Warfare better.
Yeah, and they have not reached that height since. So. We don't know where Black Ops 7 is going to land right now, but right now it's like the sentiment's there. But even then, in a year of bad sentiment like Infinite Warfare, they were still the best-selling game out of every game that year in 2016. So there is a chance Call of Duty is still that, because a lot of people just buy them because they're drones. That's the game they buy and all that. But I do feel like we're going to hear a lot of good numbers out of Battlefield 6, out of just people wanting this style of shooter instead of a futuristic shooter. And after a year where Black Ops 6 squandered the entire goodwill of its launch, because it launched good. People forget that was a well-received Call of Duty.
No, when it first launched, man, everybody was like, "Wow, they actually are back to what we want."
Yeah, and then
and then Beavis and Butthead skins started permeating the game. Yeah,
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Swordons, Nicki Minaj, and all that. It's like they ruined it. They absolutely ruined it. So, Deus Ex Remastered from Aspire out of nowhere showed up, and that's out in February 5th, 2026. There's usually an Aspire remaster like always shown in one of these state of plays. Like last year it was a Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver 1 and 2 from PS1, which was great. I bought it and I played it. So they did it great, because Aspire is I
do need to get that sometime.
Yeah, it's been on sale a couple times in digital, so you can kind of check there. But I think I think it's physical.
I'm sorry, it was on sale. What? I didn't understand what word you said after that.
And digital.
It more came down to the fact that I had just too much other shit, so I didn't bother with it. But I love Legacy of Kain too. So
surprisingly,
sorry, Soul Reaver 2, not Legacy of Kain 2.
Yeah. Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver. It's like the one that from PS2, I think. That got added recently to the classics. So
that was two. That was the second one, which is way better than the first one, which was already very good.
Amy Hennig joined. So coming out in February 5th, 2026. Some people complain that the art style is not very good, but it's like, this is Aspire, this is not Night Dive. So
this is a game where I would have preferred to be Night Dive, because I would have preferred this to get a System Shock style remake. For those who don't know, Deus Ex might be it might be the first like true immersive sim. Thief technically came before it, but Deus Ex is the one that really kind of gave you the multi approach to like, it was groundbreaking when it came out.
Yeah, Thief was a stealth game. It was like an immersive stealth game, whereas like
but it had hacking, it had multiple, like Deus Ex was truly like,
it's what people think of Cyberpunk now.
It really is. Like, and it had an amazing, which I mean Deus Ex always does, but it had an amazing story to boot. However, that is a game from like 1997.
Yes.
It's a little dated now. Even with up-res textures, I'm sure it probably does not play particularly well. So
they did specifically mention in the trailer that they improved the control scheme and things like that. But you can say that and feeling it is different. So
right, exactly. So unfortunately, if I was to guess, and this is one of the best games ever made, I want to be very clear about that. It's going to be tough for a lot of people to play, because when they play it, I think they're like, wow, this really feels old.
I think that what's going to be telling is that I know that the PS2 version got put in the classics on PS5. You can play like that original, like no remaster, not at all. as it was. I want to hear people play that and play this remaster, compare the two, and see if Aspire actually like modernized. Added this and that they're adding haptic feedback and all of that. So it's cool to see the original Deus Ex back in some way, but it's like it's a wait and see to see like what kind of Aspire are we getting? Are we getting Tomb Raider Aspire with the and Soul Reaver Aspire, or are we getting Battlefront Classic Collection Aspire, which was trash?
Yeah.
So it's gotten better. That collection got better, but gosh, that was horrible.
Yeah, did they ever fix the first one? Okay. So the first one was literally unplayable at first.
Yeah,
you couldn't connect to the server.
Yeah, literally, and it was like that was such an easy game to not fumble, and they fumbled it. So
yeah.
Halloween, the game from Ilphonic, the guys that made Friday the 13th, Predator game and all that, it's coming out on September 8th, 2026. That's a really funny one that they already had a date for something a year out. And I'm like, why not just wait for October? But maybe they know something we don't. But this basically looked like a reskin of the Friday the 13th game, but now with but now the Halloween horror movie series. So if you like that kind of series, they're doing that kind of game. So it's like
it's not anything for me. That's for sure.
Not for me. I did like the Killer Clowns from Outer Space multiplayer game that came out last year. I played it. I played that for review. Top-down action RPG Last Epoch, which it's pretty popular in PC, was announced in development for PS5, and they said that a big expansion will also launch like simultaneously on that system. Like people that love Diablo style like top-down RPGs swear by this one. I kind of asked around because I've never played it, so they told me that was a big deal that it's coming to console because that was just on PC only. So
it evidently has some of the best like best crafting. In class crafting. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's coming in 2026, but it's just like in development. So at any point, we're gonna hear from it. Seven Deadly Sins Origin, also known as the pedophile anime game. It's out on January 28th, and it is like, this open world RPG that can be played with one player or 4 players. Unfortunately, it's a game that's also a gacha game, so it's supposed to be kind of like a.
Is it because it was a free-to-play game? It is not a free-to-play game anymore. So are you sure it's still a gacha?
It's $10. I know.
Oh, is that it? Oh, never. Oh, I didn't realize it was only $10.
Yeah, I saw it today when browsing through the store. I was like, because it looked better than that original when it was announced at Jeff Keighley's birthday party. So at the summer party. And Paul forever ruined it for me because he's the one that said that it's that kind of anime. He showed me the character. So Sonic Crossroad Racing, which just recently came out, and it's been outperforming Mario Kart
today, I think.
Yeah, it's today, right?
I think today is the official release. Yeah.
Yeah, and he reviewed early, and he reviewed very positively. They announced their first batch of like guest character DLC, and they're adding Mega Man from Capcom, and they show like the characters, some of like the side characters from Mega Man. Dr. Wily's there, like racetracks and all that. And if you got the digital deluxe edition for that game, you're gonna get this character immediately when it comes out next year. So Mega Man slowly coming back. Is this like a precursor for like Capcom revisiting Mega Man since Mega Man 11? Crossing fingers. That's the one series that it's still been dormant in the Capcom Renaissance. So Neo 3, which we learned of the last state of play, got a release date that unfortunately leaked the day before, but it's coming also on February 6, 2026.
Yeah, but am I crazy? I swear when they revealed Neo 3, they gave the date, or did they just say spring maybe?
Yes, they just said spring 2026.
Okay, yeah. I'll say I knew it was coming out around then, but that must be why that. Yeah. Okay.
But now we got when it's coming, February 6th. So we had that beta like demo that they put out around the time that they revealed this back in the summer. So if you got to play it, I know a lot of people like that. It's a more wide open thing. So, and also
but I was gonna say, so I love Neo, and I was super hyped when they announced this. I was a little bummed about the beta alpha, whatever it was, because I don't really care for this like dual mode thing that it does. So the old Neo is just like your typical Souls, like you would have 2 weapons as you would swap between. Here you have I think they call it the samurai system and the ninja system, and you swap between those on the fly. And they but I'm like, I'd rather have 2 samurai. I don't want the ninja thing at all, or shinobi, I guess is probably what they call it. Like I don't want this shinobi mode at all. I'd rather just play the samurai and have an odachi and a katana or whatever. But we'll see. I mean, I'm sure it'll be good. The Neo games have been very, very high quality.
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah, obviously you have like your concerns there. I remember hearing people were fairly positive what they played in that limited demo too.
You either seem to love that or not like it at all, and I didn't like that it constricted how I could set up my character.
Yeah, maybe there's more. Maybe that was just demo, and maybe like
Could be.
later
Yeah,
on,
yeah, it could be. That's definitely possible.
Yeah, so and because that was like a Koei Tecmo like block, they also announced Dynasty Warriors 3 remastered out on March 19, 2026. Why Dynasty Warriors 3 being remastered? I looked around. Apparently, this is a very beloved one of those early games.
I think it is like 2 is obviously the one that started the series where what it became. The original Dynasty Warriors was like a strategy game, but 3 added so many more characters, and I believe it was the first one that let you play as the villains. And obviously, there's a reason why they started by showing Lu Bu, because he is the well-known character from the Romance of the Three Kingdoms that is one of the bad guys, or at least the antagonist, I guess is a better way to put it. So I assume that is why they picked this one.
Yeah, makes sense. So that's coming out in the very crowded March. So for the Dynasty Warriors fan, because there's many Musos. I mean, I'm playing through the Hyrule Warriors games. I'm waiting for Age of Imprisonment, kind of like.
Yeah, so you got another one of them coming too.
Yeah. So it's like there's like Diamond, and we got Dynasty Warriors Origins this January, which was really good. That was a really, really good one of these games. So. Code Vein 2, which was announced back at Jeff Keighley's birthday party, and I got to see the first like off-screen, like hands-off demo behind closed doors at SGF. Shocked me by saying that it's coming out on January 30, 2026. When I looked at that thing behind closed doors, it definitely looked rough. It
really?
Promise,
okay.
But it was like definitely. I was like, it's a SGF. It's an early build, so of course, like they needed to do a lot of optimization. It wasn't running well, but the ambition is definitely there. It's coming out much sooner than I was anticipating, which is great because it's like. Cool. It's like we're still within those short and time spans of like us getting a game reveal and getting the game. And Code Vein 1 was a interesting anime Souls-like. This one's definitely gonna be more in the Elden Ring stuff, which is like more wide open with like more curated areas, like when you go to dungeons and things like that. I think there was a co-op, if I remember what they said, but
I believe there was. Yes, I believe that is correct.
Yeah, so I think there wasn't in Code Vein 1. So. Yeah, that's coming out in 2026. They gave another look at Final Fantasy Tactics Evil's Chronicles that felt more like, hey, this is out next week. Just remember, it reviewed well. Like, it reviewed great. Like, many other things this week. Let It Die Inferno, the sequel to 2016's Let It Die.
Who asked for this? Yeah, who asked for this? Let It Die was horrible.
It was horrible and good in a horrible way, too. Like, because some people really latch into, like, its insanity. So...
But I mean, specifically, it was so bad about its monetization. It was so bad.
Yeah, and this one, it's $25 I saw. So I don't know, like, I think Let It Die in 2016 was free to play, if I remember. So if I thought they're already charging for this, maybe they're gonna be better at monetizing it. So that's out this year on December 3rd, 2025. Chrono Script The Endless End, which is the funniest name ever.
Terrible name.
I would say it looked awesome because it's kind of like a dark...
It's maybe the game that was most interesting to me in the entire state.
Yeah, for a new game that revealed here, I would agree with that because it's kind of like taking the idea of the Plucky Squire and playing something like within like a storybook, but it's kind of like a dark goth, like a dreary.
It's not whimsical anymore. It's much more violent and yeah, the idea is cool because I guess you're the writer of whatever you get trapped in. But I also liked how they showed like when the book fell off like a bookshelf, like he had to like go into like a different book and stuff like that. I thought that was kind of neat.
Yeah, I think the Plucky Squire had interesting ideas, but they weren't
with poor implementation or with poor execution. Yes,
for execution. So it's like about that the idea of like playing within like a live storybook that you kind of jump in and out. It's kind of cool. And
it was a great idea. It was a great idea, but
so I'm glad that that's kind of what they're taking in it. The art style is very like striking because it's like so unique. Because that's the beauty of 2D, right, Rick? And it's coming out in 2026. Crimson Desert, the old rage Korean game from the MMO developers Black Desert Online. That was supposed to be out later this year, but got delayed to March 19, 2026. So at least now that has a release date. This game was all the rage.
If this game is even functional when it releases, I will be amazed because I don't for 1 second believe this game is what they're showing it as. I don't for 1 second.
The fact that I saw it being played like controller and they had it as a playable thing at SGF made me like be like, if you're demoing it like this where you're having people play it and the things that I'm seeing are exactly the craziness that you've seen, I feel like the ambition is not a lie. It's just now we have to see if it actually all comes together in the full game. If it's not just an enclosed vertical slice where it works and then nothing else. It's like this is one of the most ambitious games I've ever seen in my life. Everything that is throwing at it. It's like the ambition that we were talking about Jack 2. It feels like a game that just throw everything in a blender. So Then we got the hardware reveal for State of Play because there's always a hardware reveal. The Pulse Elevated wireless speakers. They're coming out
Yeah,
in
which many
2026.
people clearly were asking for.
Yes. I don't think people were also asking for the Pulse headset either. So it's like Sony got a Sony. They're a hardware company. They're
I
always kind of
guess, yeah.
thinking. But I feel like they've made it clear, especially with PS Portal and like all these different accessories that they build like for this generation of PlayStation. A lot of people are buying the hardware. It's kind of wild how many people are like so Apple in their like, oh yeah, everything that you put out, let's buy it. It feels like so.
Don't be like Apple. Of every company to be like, don't be like Apple.
Yeah, so I just laughed at that. I can't wait to see what the price is. Some of the idea of kind of like the simultaneous like connection with like the link
I'm gonna
thing.
bet 200.
200. That wouldn't be
That's
too
what I think.
bad. I've heard like there's some really
It would be reasonable, but I
yeah.
just this did not seem like the place to announce that. So that's just so weird to me.
Yeah. They've announced other hardware before here, so it's like it's kind of par for the course because they did also the fighting stick in the last.
Yeah, but that I can understand because they also were showing off Tokon and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like they're showing speakers. I don't understand it here.
Yeah, this was the funniest announcement because like a hardware company gonna hardware, but it's kind of like for the people that keep saying it's like, oh yeah, so Sony, it's all about MAUs. They're not about the hardware. They're moving away for hardware. They're a hardware company, morons. It's like they are like a company that builds these things.
If you have somehow led yourself to believe that they're not making hardware anymore, then you clearly are not paying attention.
Yes, and like the nature of what the kind of company it is.
Yeah.
It's, specifically as in pointing the finger to special chatter at or at
we know who we're referring to. Yes, we know.
Yes,
we know.
And we got the updates for PS Plus that are coming like for the next month. So on Essential, you get Alan Wake 2, Goat Simulator 3, and Cocoon. So Alan Wake 2 is basically the big one there. For the extra catalog, once again, just like last year, added The Last of Us Part 1 for the extra catalog on The Last of Us Day. Tomorrow, Last of Us Part 2 Remaster is going to be added to Extra. So if you somehow have not bought that game, you get to play the best version of that game. So, and for the Premium Classics Edition, they're adding Tekken 3 and Soul Calibur 3 alongside Tomb Raider Anniversary. So I'm a big fan of Tekken 3. That was the bigger one, the one that I popped the most for because I love Tekken 3. That's the one that I played a lot.
The only game in the three of these that I care about is Tomb Raider Anniversary. However, I don't care about this because
you already own it.
Well, I do, but specifically, PlayStation never got the good version of Tomb Raider Anniversary.
Yeah,
they only got the PS2 version. Xbox had a 360 version that was way better.
Oh yeah,
but that version was never ported to PlayStation. So
yeah, to PS3.
But remember, only Sony money has things. Remember that.
Yep. Yes, and then Kazunori Hamaguchi, which is the director of Gran Turismo, kind of like showed up to kind of mention how Gran Turismo has sold 100 million copies total in its history, which makes it like the best-selling PlayStation series ever. And he said that Gran Turismo 7 is getting a Spec 3 update later this year, which is gonna add like eight new cars.
Eight cars, 2 tracks. It's Yas Marina, which is the Singapore track that I don't know if Formula 1 still runs it, but they used to. It's the one they run at night. And Circuit de Gilles Villeneuve, which is Montreal. I don't think they run it anymore, but that's what Formula 1 used to run in Canada.
Yeah. I would say like Gran Turismo 7 has just been like a quiet juggernaut that's just
do not let anybody ever convince you that Gran Turismo is dead, because it's not. It's not. Like it is only dead in certain talking spheres. But that's not to say it's the best. I'm not saying it is or is not, right? But Gran Turismo is wildly successful anytime they release a numbered entry, and this is no exception.
I feel them mentioning that they've sold 100 million units. I feel it's to underline that
to specifically address that, like, hey, well, and also being as that a certain other publisher chose to neuter their team that would directly compete with Gran Turismo, I believe that was another reason why they did it, to go, hey, we're not getting neutered because, I mean, we're still owned by idiots, but we're not owned by idiots that are quite as dumb. I guess that's probably a way to put it.
Yes, and I was like, I bought it. I bought GT7 when it was like on sale last Black Friday because I wanted to test the Pro version. The Pro version of Gran Turismo 7.
It looks amazing, actually.
Insanely beautiful.
Gran Turismo is the reason why I almost bought a PSVR too, because I did hear that the PSVR implementation.
I heard it's amazing. So,
But I'm like, man, that's kind of a tough sell for $300 for that.
Exactly. You need to like you need to justify with many things, and there's not many things
Yeah.
for that. I don't think unless the price drops even more than it did already. That it went from the
If it gets down
600.
to like 150, I would probably jump at it, but
Mhm.
that's a tough sale
Yeah.
at 300.
But Gran Turismo 7 is technically listed as a live service for them. They've been treating it like one. It just
Oh
exists
yeah.
it just kind of exists in its own
Well, I mean, even
hemisphere.
it very much is a live service game because I don't know if you even played far enough to see this.
Mhm.
Remember how they shut down Gran Turismo Sport?
Yeah.
They shut it down because Gran Turismo Sport is in Gran Turismo 7.
And then
Like literally, they took Gran Turismo Sport,
and put it all
put it into 7, and then added the 7 tracks and cars to it.
Yes, even though you can still play sport offline because they patched that in because it was an online only game. It's like that's how they're treating it. So it's like Gran Turismo 7 is the platform, and despite its tough launch at the beginning, because they were not. If you remember, it launched with like some server problems and all of that. And
well, the biggest issue, and I don't know if this has been addressed or not. The biggest issue was that as a PS5 user, you could not turn off the ability to search to include PS4 users, and the PS4 version was specifically the one that had issues. If you lucked out and got into a server that was all PS5 users, you were fine.
Mm-hmm.
If you got a handful of PS4 users, it dragged the server down. I don't know if that was a PS4 issue. I don't know if that was a coding issue. I don't know, but that was specifically what the problem was. I played a couple, I don't know, just random, and I was with PS5, and it ran just fine. I had no issues at all.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and then we got an announcement for the God of War 20th anniversary, which is another DualSense, which is just has like the red painted that looks like Kratos' Ghost of Sparta thing. Definitely, I feel that the one they did for Ragnarok was a better.
It's much better. I have it. I don't know. It's probably buried. It's in my pile back there.
Yeah, the Ragnarok one was more impressive than the one that they did.
I think it's that one right there, actually.
Yeah, I see it. It's to the left. Yes, I see it. So
no, that's Astrobot actually, but it is in that pile somewhere.
Mm-hmm, yeah, the one they did for Ragnarok was better, and this I would say felt like blue walls because I was like the last time that they revealed that controller was followed up by the God of War Ragnarok launch trailer.
I thought they were going to show either
the 2D side scroller that would be
or preferably the damn collection that everybody's been waiting for that we're clearly not going to ever get now.
Exactly, because like it's like how they treated the 20th anniversary of God of War this year has been really weird. I do feel that why that is that they doubled down on that Blue Point live service God of War game that got canceled. That's probably
it never should have existed. Yeah,
exactly. So that's probably kind of what happened. So I'm still hoping that they're trying to do something with the classics, at least just to put it like in the classic, like for God of War 1 and 2 and the PSP ones that are not available, because that's literally the only thing that are missing for people to play. So
they need to release a collection of all 6 games that are prior to 2018. 2018 is already playable there, so you don't need that. They need to release a collection of 1, 2, 3, Ghost of Sparta, Chains of Olympus, and Ascension. Even though Ascension sucks, it still needs to be there. Yeah, you need those 6 games to be available.
Yeah, and I feel like Ascension has aged good, like in comparison to I replayed it this year when I did the.
It's the only one I never finished because I just didn't like it. But
yeah, it's like it came out during Fatigue era, and I feel like people that have gone back to it have seen like, okay, it's not the best, but there was still something here because it's like a lot of those ideas made their way to Ragnarok actually. And then despite that, not getting anything God of War, we did get something that's God of War adjacent. If you remember the license game from 2009, Wolverine from Insomniac finally like popped back up again after a college career's wait since we first saw it in 2021. Finally, we got to see kind of like what the game looks like in what's obviously gameplay if you've seen an Insomniac game.
Wait, you mean it wasn't QuickTime events? Is that what you're trying to say, Alex?
Oh, you saw the.
I did see that. Yeah, I did see that. Yeah, if you thought that was QuickTime events, you don't know what a QuickTime event is.
Exactly. So it's like it definitely looked great. I would say that it looked even better than I was expecting. It definitely feels like this doesn't feel like a second tier project from them that you're just trying to feel. It feels like they're putting a lot of effort into this Wolverine game, like just visually. Like you can tell that they've stepped it up from Spider-Man 2. Like it's bloody as all hell. It's like I was like, well, I was hopeful it was gonna be bloody because I don't know if you remember the X-Men Origins Wolverine game from 360 PS3. I was actually like
Raven,
from Raven. That thing was bloody and it wasn't even at all as bloody. It's like it was bloodier than the movie that it was based on. That's kind of like the irony. It was like a movie tie-in of a garbage movie, but that game was also a shockingly good Wolverine game. And it feels like they really saw that game and was like, let's make that with the Insomniac kind of like coat of paint and all that. it's also looked kind of like what I expected it was gonna look. So it's like it's a Wolverine game, and I'm gonna play it. I'm excited to kind of like try it. It definitely got me in the mood to play the Spider-Man games again. Just kind of be like, oh, Insomniac is kind of back, and like
Have they indicated if they're putting them in the same universe or not?
yeah,
It might be tough. Okay, they have.
it is.
Okay,
Yes,
I say it might be
like,
kind of tough since they're introducing a whole lot more characters with like Omega
mhm.
Red and
Yes.
Mystique, and I think that's all they said.
Brian Intihar, he was at the kind of funny like spoiler cast they did for Spider-Man 2, and they asked him that directly, like,
Oh, okay,
is Wolverine
gotcha.
like in the same universe? Like, yeah, we're considered like our games are in the same universe, 1,000 something they call it. So it's like,
So are they actually calling it Marvel's Wolverine, or are
yeah,
they just calling
Marvel's
it Wolverine?
Wolverine.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
Marvel's Wolverine. So
Yeah, I mean, it's cheesy of a series title as it is. That would indicate it would be the same series then.
yes, and I realized that why I'm still kind of excited for this is the fact that yes, I know the Marvel of it all right now has been like become more tiring than usual, especially when it comes to the MCU side of things. X-Men has been gone for quite a bit. The only thing we've really got on X-Men in recent times was that Deadpool and Wolverine movie from last year. So getting to see this Wolverine, especially one that's violent as this one, like it got something here that at least got me like interested. And I want to see like what kind of game it fully is. They said that in spring 2026 they're gonna give a state of play to kind of give more.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, you would
more
expect
info,
that here.
and they said fall 2026. So unless like you mentioned Intergalactic, it's like for later fall because I can see this being the September October game.
I'm gonna guess they're gonna watch very closely where a certain number 6 releases.
Yes.
Because Wolverine or not,
yes.
it's not gonna compete against Grand Turismo,
Yeah.
Theft Auto. So they're
Yeah.
going to have to avoid Grand Theft Auto somehow.
If you notice a lot of these dates, it's very interesting that a lot of them were March and February. It's very clear
That's
that
why.
a lot of people are staying away from May.
They're staying away from May, and they're staying away from the rumored October that it might be getting delayed to.
Yeah, so that's probably gonna like define. I feel like this has the chance that maybe they can pull the Kojima thing where they pushed up the release date because
my guess is that's their goal. My guess is they're trying really hard to get it finished to release in like the summer to get it because even if you're afraid of May and you're afraid of October, if you get it out in like July, you're okay. You're far enough away from both months that way. Although if it does release in May, you're still screwed either way because people are gonna be playing that for months afterwards.
Yeah.
But
I'm just glad that despite all the leaks that happened and all that, and a lot of people seeing a lot of that game like in completely out of context ways and things like that, I'm glad that they finally had their moment to kind of like spotlight it. And based on what I read online, it seems that a lot of people like what they saw. So
yeah, I have seen pretty positive reactions. Mine a little less positive, and I know this is gonna make me sound like a contrarian, and it is truly not my intent. I like. I'm not down on it. I don't want to sound like that. I'm not. I'm a little concerned for me. Specifically, while we didn't see much, the combat looked a little basic, and I understand it. That's very, very minor seeing it, right? Like I'm totally not saying that what I'm seeing is how it is. Saying what I perceive. And I'm totally cool with it being overly violent, overly bloody, but that was not like a big deal breaker for me, like it was with some people if it wasn't going to be. And it's cool that it is. Like I'm totally fine with that. However, knowing Insomniac's, I don't want to say track record, but their history, I don't see where a Wolverine style game is something they've made in the past, which doesn't mean they can't do it now, right?
Yeah.
Spider-Man, they had a pedigree of a game like that in the past.
So
that's why I was like, actually, I didn't like Sunset Overdrive, but nevertheless, I knew they could make a game like that, right? Wolverine, I'm like, I haven't seen you be able to make a game like this in the past. That gives me confidence that you'll be able to do this well. That said, I mean, there's obviously a lot of care being put into it. I'm not arguing that at all. The McIntyre, whatever his name is, seems like a pretty good cast.
Yeah, Liam McIntyre, he was Spartacus.
Yeah, I knew that actually, but I've never seen it. But he seems like a good cast. I mean, I like the design of Wolverine when he's not wearing the X-Men outfit. I think the X-Men outfit looks really bizarre. I don't know what it is. Something about it looks really weird in that.
It's the dissonance of the yellow colorful like suit.
It's it's too like long in terms of height. It kind of looks off. Instead of being like out like that, like it is, it's real vertical. But anyway, so I am a little less positive. I'm not going to doubt Insomniac. I mean, they are a good team. Even if I was a little disappointed in Spider-Man 2, it still was not a bad game by any means, right?
Yeah.
I'm in more of a wait and see before I get excited.
Makes sense. Yeah.
I'm a little more reserved in my opinion.
And this will be a good conversation to have when we see that state of play, when they showcase it.
Yeah.
That's when we're gonna.
That may totally change me around. Be like, okay, no, I see what I see what I wanted to see. Now I'm on board. Or I might be like, yeah, this is really what I was afraid of. This does not look right.
Yeah,
and also to be clear, I'm taking what we saw yesterday, but I'm also taking what we did see in the leaks because while I understand that was unfinished, and I'm not taking it that way, I did see combat that looked very basic to me, like very kind of almost button mashy, and I don't really want that. Again, maybe it doesn't work that way. You know, we'll know in time, but that's kind of where I am. And you notice I never said what my opinion was in the Discord. There's a reason. I figured I'd kind of like surprise you with it a little bit.
Yeah. No. And also, I was expecting you're gonna have more temperance because we've had conversations that the whole Marvel thing, you've kind of been over it too. So that's why I was like,
there's no doubt about that. That said, I do like Wolverine. X-Men and Spider-Man have always been my thing. Yeah. If every other superhero thing in the world
disappeared,
yes, including Batman, disappears, I wouldn't lose a second of sleep. But Spider-Man and X-Men are my thing. Like, they were my thing all when I was a kid. So those I do want to see. That said, Wolverine was never by any means my favorite X-Men. I was always a Gambit guy. But
really?
but I do like Wolverine. So it's more like I don't know how to scream other than to say I'm more reserved in how I feel about it. But and also there's no question this is affecting my opinion. I still do despise how absolutely wasted Insomniac is right now.
With just being a Marvel.
Even if this game is great, right? That is such a creative studio that's being shoehorned into just making IP schlop. Yeah, I don't like that at all.
And that's an area that I'm also agreeing with because that was like that. The Insomniac League really was one of the most heartbreaking things to witness. Because
they had nothing except for Marvel games. Yes.
Because it was like that's what the studio's becoming. Because in my mind, around Spider-Man 2, I was like, okay, it's like they want to make like I know they're trying to do like a better sequel. They usually never make their dues, but I do believe that after this one, they're gonna go
another Ratchet game or something. Yeah.
I know they have enough teams to probably work on a new IP. I know they have the Wolverine game there, so they have that more. And then when I saw the timeline, that it was like, so the next Ratchet is until 2029.
Yeah, that was heartbreaking to see.
Yes, it was like, and
especially since I didn't really like Rift Apart very much.
Yeah, I did like it, but it was like it was still like it was more like to me it was a burger. I like my burger, but it was something that didn't last. It's like when you eat a burger, it's like something that you eat in the moment, and then you forget about it because you eat many of them. So
what I was going to say is it made me more confident that I was very excited for the next one, because usually if they release a Ratchet game that I didn't like, usually the next one is one of their best they've ever made. So I was like, all right, we had the off one this time. I mean, it looked great, but gameplay wise, I thought it was a little basic. But I'm like, yeah, that means the next one will be like Clank in time too.
That one was
hell yeah.
Yeah, it's very clear that one was made for the PS5 Tech Showcase.
Yes, exactly.
More than that. So, whereas the 2016 one was more mechanically deep.
It was the, hey, let's once again show what we can really do with Ratchet and Clank. And it's why it was so good.
Yeah, and that was just a remake of the original, but they found a lot.
It was 1,000 times better than the actual original, but...
Yeah, so that I do agree. And that was something that I held on, especially Spider-Man 2 cost $300 million. I was like, how does... Because when I saw that, like, that budget really was the thing that... that completely, like, ruined it. Like, a lot of, like, my opinion of that game, because then it put into perspective the whole... oh my God, it's like... A lot of this game looked very similar to the last two games that are also on PS5 right now. Why did it cost this much? A lot of this game feels so recycled.
Because of the damn IP. That's why. Exactly. But which I mean, that's a two-edged sword, because the IP alone makes sure that it's going to succeed. But the IP also makes sure that it has to succeed more than it otherwise would.
Exactly. And it was even more sobering about the fact that Spider-Man 2 was like the fastest selling Spider-Man game ever, or like the fastest selling Insomniac game ever, and they had to lay off people afterwards because it was like the high cost of everything. So it's like that's what really popped the license bubble for me, because I was like, this is where it's getting. And
then stop the IP games. Yeah, exactly.
And then like look, like the entire tailspin that Ubisoft has been on over this last year was because Outlaws didn't do well.
And now, while it didn't cost as much, also Avatar. Although Avatar, they are still supporting. I mean, they announced the new expansion,
and the third person,
which Yeah, the third person mode I believe comes out with this expansion, although the expansion is paid. But that was unexpected that they were doing a whole new paid expansion. And actually, I'll be honest with you, I liked
Avatar too.
Is it Frontiers of Pandora? Is that the subtitle?
Yeah,
that was a very good game that I actually don't think got the credit that it deserved.
Yeah, it's like besides it just being like a licensed game, it was basically you saw the evolution of Far Cry or got an idea of like where Far Cry could go.
But it fit very well with that. Like it wasn't like you just took the Avatar IP and shoved it into a game. Like it felt like an Avatar game first and then a Far Cry game, and that's what I liked. It actually it added to the IP and the IP added to it.
And also that game had a horrible PSSR implementation at launch that got fixed. And now it's
did it fix? Okay.
Yeah, and then it got.
I have it on Xbox. That's why I actually don't know. That.
But when I saw it fixed, I was like, "Oh, okay."
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful game.
It's beautiful. The Snowdrop engine's so good. Like when you have like the hardware to run it,
and particularly when you're running around at night, which if you're an Avatar fan, like all the bioluminescence of things, the game is breathtakingly gorgeous at night. It really, really is.
Yeah,
and I truly, I mean, it may have done well. I'm not saying it flopped, but it didn't quite get the fanfare it deserved. I thought.
It should have come out the year the movie came out, like the second one, and unfortunately coming out a year afterwards when because Avatar is very like a from the moment thing.
It's an in the moment thing. Yeah. Yes, no doubt about it.
Yeah, it's like it makes a lot of money because people saying that it doesn't, like they're like fooling themselves, literally.
The first one is still, I believe, the second highest grossing movie of all time.
Yeah, and that was after many people.
So how can you say it doesn't make money?
Exactly. That's kind of like the irony of all of it, because people were like always wondering, it's like, man, Avatar's like the highest grossing movie of all time, but it literally has no like people don't even remember the name of the characters. They're like, where's the cultural relevance?
I have had this argument before. You know why that is? It's not because nobody likes the characters. It's because they all have difficult names to remember.
Yes.
Like it's not that complicated. It's not because nobody knows the movie. It's just because the characters are all like, they're made to sound like Native American names, which are not easy to remember. Yeah. It's that simple.
Yep.
I've seen both movies quite a few times. I love
the second one specifically.
I love Way of Water. I think that is an amazing movie. I couldn't tell you half the names of the water tribe because their names are hard to remember.
But it's like,
but I love that movie, and don't anybody try to tell me I don't love it.
And that's the thing. Like, if you want actual, like, if there was a movie that forever broke the Marvel spell for me, was Avatar. But watching Avatar 2, like, because it was like, so this is what good effects are like. I had forgotten what it was like.
It's what it looks like when you take time. And passion to make a movie and not just churn it out every 6 months.
Exactly. Yes. And then it made me look at the Marvel machine. It's like, you guys are churning way too fast with this thing. Like, even watching some of the older Marvel movies, I'm like, gosh, it's like, even movies that I didn't like originally, like Age of Ultron, looks better than what we get now, because it's like,
I assume you've seen Black Panther. That's some of the worst special effects I've ever seen.
Yes.
Those rhinoceroses look god awful.
I know, and people love that movie.
I think that movie was terrible. I actually don't know why it's so popular.
Yes,
but
I think it's overrated. I wouldn't say terrible, but it's like
terrible is hyperbole. I agree with that. I did not like it very much, but terrible is hyperbole. I won't argue that.
Yes, but it's like it's the one movie that I felt got so overpraised that then when I see it, it's like, this is fine.
That probably does play into it. It's like everyone said how great it was when I saw it. I'm like,
yeah, it reviewed like it was the second comment. Yeah, it was.
It really did. It really did.
That's why I was like, that's why I resented it afterward, because I was like, why did you guys see that I didn't? Am I racist? So
I wasn't going there, but I think we all know it's what I was thinking.
Exactly. That's what I thought. But yeah, so we don't keep going longer, Rick, because we've gone for like 2 hours. Because there are other headlines that we're not. There's no need. Maybe I'll deal with them next week, because TGS is still going. So it's like, maybe we can recap TGS more in depth next week. With when Paul is here, but let me read the release dates. So that was our conversation about State of Play. Time to read the release dates for September 28th to October 4th. So we're now in October, people. And we're reaching kind of like the anniversary of when you first were in the show, Rick, because you came in mid October.
Really?
Yeah, mid October.
I thought it was this year.
The first time you guessed it when I asked you.
Yeah, still I thought it was this year. I didn't realize it was last year.
Yeah.
This year, it was the Nintendo show. That's right.
You were
or Microsoft, not Nintendo.
Microsoft show. Yeah, you did the Microsoft show in October of last year. That was the first time you were on the show, and then this year is when I brought you in for Nintendo, and then from that point onward. So, Alien Rogue Incursion comes to PS5 and Series X on September 30th. Echoes of the Plum Grove comes to Series X on September 30th. Final Fantasy Tactics: The Evil East Chronicles comes to everything except Switch 2 on September 30. Lego Party, which I got to play at SGF, which is really fun, comes to everything except Switch 2 on September 30. And obviously you can play it on Switch 2, but it's the Switch 1 version. Which Nintendo has said, people, yeah, you do the Switch 1 versions because we don't want to give you the dev kits for some reasons. Nicktoons and the Dice of Destiny comes to everything except last gen on September 30th. Ghost of Yote comes out on October 2nd on PlayStation 5. Ownerism comes to PC on October 2nd. The separate releases of Super Mario Galaxy and Mario Galaxy 2, or a bundle of them together, comes out on October 2nd. And Digimon Time Stranger comes to PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC on October 3rd. So my redacted game is somewhere there. I'm moving my eyes so you can kind of guess what it is. But
it's not Mario Galaxy. I'll give that as a hint to the people. Nor is it Ghost of Yote. You did not get that one.
Exactly. If I had gotten it, my review would have gone out today.
That's correct. Yes.
They gave that game very early because they were confident. I mean, I don't blame them. They got an 87, 88.
Yeah, so clearly well confident, right?
Exactly. So I'm excited for Yote. I can't wait to play it next year.
Yote, and I'm a victim of Nintendo. I'll be getting the Mario Galaxies.
Yes. Are you getting both of them?
Yeah, I have the physical version.
Gotcha.
And then actually there was one other thing in there, and I closed the list. And I forget what it was. It was towards the top.
Alien? Is it Alien?
Oh, yeah, that actually is what it is. But it's not what I'm going to get. However, it does look interesting. I heard it is very, very good in VR, and this is the non-VR version release of it. And I watched video. I'm like, that actually does look a pretty damn
I've
good.
Heard, a lot of people are kind of like excited. This is a good week that's coming soon right now.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I am waiting. I didn't pre-order anything about Galaxy. I'm waiting for the Digital Foundry to see. I want them to compare Galaxy 1 to what's on the.
You're trying to decide if you want both or if you just want Galaxy 2,
exactly.
basically.
Because it's like, if the improvements are like legit, I'll get the bundle with both of them. If the improvements are not that like obvious, I'll keep Galaxy 1. Because I already own Galaxy. It's in my. I did buy the collection of the 3, the one that got delisted. So it's like
so I
Galaxy 2. So it's like about, if the improvements are there, I'll get it.
I never thought of this actually. Getting this dual collection, I could probably get rid of my copy of that now because I don't really like 64 or Sunshine. I got it just because of Galaxy.
There's no.
So now I could probably sell that.
Yes. Not only that, and you can sell it for good money, and not only that, Galaxy's Sunshine is for sure gonna be added to the Nintendo Switch Online GameCube. It's I bet that's
it makes sense.
How they were thinking about it. It's like, okay, it's like we'll have it in that online. We're added in that online. That's why we're taking it out, because like that game will be available for people anyway. So it's like so that's kind of like how they probably did the math, but we'll see. So excited to talk about more of these games. Well, I'll see you in 2 weeks because you get a day off next week. I get to be with Paul next week. So Rick, where can people find you?
Butch4969 on Twitter, Xbox, PlayStation, you name it. YouTube.com/spreadingthenerd Fridays, most Fridays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I believe we are doing a show tomorrow, so I think I'll be there.
Perfect. And you can find me at _Segovia on Twitter, asegovia on BlueSky, at twitch.tv/theslayergiant, where this week I've been more active than usual. I'm still trying to nail the solid schedule that I want to do, because I'm so irregular when I go live. I've been testing different times to be like, when does people go online sooner or not, that I don't clash with anything else. And you can find my written content over at seasongaming.com, which I've been doing a bunch of back-to-back reviews in recent time, most of them from Bandai Namco. But yeah, you can read my review for Metal Gear Delta, Everybody's Golf Hot Shots, Toa and the Guardian of the Sacred Tree, and another review that I hope I can get finished by the time we record next week. But
the race is on.
Yeah, the race is literally on, and I've been like distracted playing other stuff too, because this month has just been fucked. It
has been maybe the busiest month I've ever seen.
I've never said no to so many games that I want to play. It was like I was talking with my cousin about it. It was like, man, I let go of this cool looking game. This other one is like, oh man, there's so many. Like, I still want to play Chronos, but it's like, gosh, with everything else that's coming in October, it's like, this is just such a horrible one for the wallet. Declare bankruptcy, people. I declare bankruptcy. But with that, thank you for being here, Rick. Thank you for everyone that tuned in.
Real quick.
Okay.
There's something I wanted to show. I don't know if Paul's going to watch this.
Okay.
But I just wanted to say, I hate you guys so much. I did end up getting the damn thing. I hate you guys.
You're such a weak individual.
I am.
That's the Kingdom Come.
Kingdom Come to collector's edition.
I'll tell Paul watch the end. I'll just tell him that because it's like
I hate you guys.
Yeah, that's again like I'm so irresponsible in so many ways. I'm glad that collector's editions or any of statues and all that is the one thing that.
To be fair, that was an unbelievably good price for that, but I still didn't need it, and I bought it anyway.
Yeah, you can see like if you're in beta, you see all the memorabilia that it has. Well, meanwhile, that's all I have. My altar of the Donkey Kong plushie and Pac-Man, and Sonic is back here with like the little. So that's all I have. But all right, Rick, I will see you in 2 weeks. And everyone else, thank you for tuning in and listening, watching in your podcast services on your choice. And in this video, if you like what you listen or watch, give us a like and subscribe and give us a follow over at our socials. We'll see you next week. Same bad channel, same bad time. And
press X
to play. Hasta la vista, baby.
Later, guys.